So
We've already been through
Page
that.
3 of 4 on, are we at 3 of 4 on the sewer? Tab?
Under the expense, under sewer expense.
Sewer expense tab, yes.
I think you were in the right area, Mike. It might not be
Yeah.
you're
Different
deep
page.
enough
There's a page
into it.
before.
Okay.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're down into replace and repair of equipment.
So those are 3 pumps you say you're going to try to replace?
They can be. That's just an example of how expensive a pump can be. Say our return sludge pumps, which is going to be, they are going to be replaced by the Wendell project. We've held off getting them repaired for over a year because it was $18,000 to repair it.
Yeah.
And there's 60 pumps and motors at that plant. So it's just, like I said, you can have a good year where everything works fine, or you can have a bad year where things really start to fail.
If we do a little bit at a time here,
That's what we do, but, 65, like I said, we blew through that in 1 year when our centrifuge went down, in one repair,
Right.
so.
But again, we have a almost $5 million project going in there,
Right.
So that's going to start.
It's going to
hopefully by
replace
next
probably
year.
the most expensive equipment that needs repairs. The centrifuge is going to be replaced.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The payment on that starts next year? or this
Well,
year?
I don't know. It depends when the project gets started and when we have to start making payments to the contractors.
Oh, okay,
So it depends.
all right.
Chances are, yeah.
Chances are
Chances are we're going to have to
payments-
borrow that money next year.
Okay. So,
If
all
I
right.
borrow it next year, your payments will start the following.
The following year, so, okay,
Okay.
so, we had, right now it's unchanged from our previous year.
What's that?
The 65 was the same thing as
Yeah,
adopted last year.
yeah, because she still has other stuff that's not going to be part of it. That
Right.
5 million isn't covering the whole plant. She's still got, like she said, pumps all over the place and
I'm
pumps and
okay.
valves and everything
I'm okay
else.
with keeping it the same as last year.
Okay, you all right?
Yeah.
Everybody
Anybody else?
okay?
Yep.
Okay. Then we go down to preventive maintenance at 7625.
I did bump that one up because I picked out the 2 major pieces of equipment that we would like to have preventative maintenance on. One is our new Neuros blowers. They're 2 years old now. We did get a quote from Neuros for, it's $6,500 on one annual visit to go over everything that our guys wouldn't know how to do. These are kind of like a jet engine. So we talked about preventative maintenance on such a specific high-tech piece of equipment. And the other things are our 2 generators. Now, we have had an annual agreement on that in the past, and it was a wonderful thing because it found an awful lot of problems that we needed to be repaired. And we need those generators because if we have a power outage, the plant goes down. And there was a 3-week period 1 year where, we were waiting on parts, where it was pretty stressful that if anything had happened, well, we could have gotten an off-site generator brought in, but that would not have been real fun, so.
You say bump that up 850.
So I pumped it to, oh yeah, if we could do another 850 to that, because I did forget the Headworks generator. So 7625 plus 850.
What would be the total you want?
Oh, I see, because,
8475.
I was going to say, you have 8475, and I was looking, I was wondering why mine was.
Yeah, because I already added the 850. I'm sorry, while you guys were looking down, I added the 850.
Okay. But if we didn't want it.
You guys got to keep up.
I'm looking at preventive maintenance, like
So-
it's going to save us big problems down the road, and it's going to save us large costs down the road. Instead of a large piece of equipment going out because you haven't taken care of it in a while, and I realize it's.
Well, this is the generator.
And
Yeah.
an example of that is when the centrifuge went down and we were actually hauling to Westfield, and Westfield was processing our sludge for us. And it was actually costing us twice as much to haul it down there, a whole cost associated with them doing it, plus the hauling back and forth, than it would have been doing it in-house. So that's just one example.
Do we have a special truck for doing that?
No, we had to hire that all out. We-
I mean-
So
Okay.
Those were
you just
tankers,
want
they were
another
tankers, because,
Yeah.
it's liquid sludge.
In the emergency,
Yeah.
we have our own truck though for hauling our sludge on a regular basis,
Okay,
yeah.
But that's processed all the way down into cake, right? That's the right terminology? Right
Right.
down into cake, as where we didn't have that
Process.
ability to process it down to a cake, it was still in liquid
Sludge
form,
form.
so we were actually tankering it to Westfield.
Right.
And then Westfield was dewatering it and taking it up to the landfill, so.
Yep, I'm sure you're paying hazardous materials charges and fees and stuff probably of some sort.
You know, that was all included in, you know, the rental of the truck.
Yep.
And they supplied their own manpower too, right, Betsy?
Yes.
For the truck, so, you know, but those are the types of things that you can run into if you don't keep up with it. Then we got supplies other,
And that's basically just things we can't really find a category for. I wrote a few examples, you know, rags for cleaning, bug spray, salt for the sidewalks, weed killer, you know, anything that you just can't find. It's not really an equipment repair or replace. It's just,
Can we take $500 out of that, Betsy?
I would say, okay, yes on that. We don't seem to ever, if you even look back over the last couple of years.
I see that, because, I mean, you could almost take 1,000 out of it, but,
I don't,
well,
I mean,
no,
I
you've
want to
got
see,
some- you're pretty
maybe
close
we
on
could
some.
nip somewhere down the line here a little bit. Maybe we can
Yeah,
offset some of that 800.
no, as I look back, we probably, no, we should probably keep, 500's enough.
1,500 it is.
I'm good with that.
So that leaves us down at 1,500, yeah, yep.
okay?
Yep,
Then we're down into the office supplies,
Yeah.
which is just $600.
yeah, that's fine.
So that's probably
Well,
around
if I take
what
$100 out of there,
Why?
that brings us down to 250 that we added on the 850.
Yeah, but if you look back,
Yeah, you got.
you gotta
Okay.
look back a bit
Alright.
there, you
Well,
got
550.
ups and
Alright.
downs sometimes, so I think it's pretty close, and without, you don't
Alright.
wanna make it too tight.
Little nipper.
All right.
Okay, then the clothing allowance, that's contractual,
Right.
Oh, okay,
okay?
yep,
That gets charged if they,
Use
we
it.
actually do have people that don't submit stuff, so. So you have this, basically if it's in the contract, we put it in there. Then your chemicals, Betsy.
Yeah, the chemicals I was able to drop significantly from last year's budget because we have some more hard numbers since the closing of Carriage House. You know, it's been a transition period of how much processing we had to do. Last year was a very consistent year, so I could just take every chemical that we used and amortize it across the year, and so I was able to subtract $20,000+ from that.
If you look out here, you guys, on the screen, this number here is the difference between what we had in the previous year versus what we're budgeting this year. So we're
So you knocked out
$25,350 less in this budget than we were last year. Okay?
let's see, that, yeah, that's, to know where you start from helps.
Right.
Yes, that's significant.
But you're saying last year was kind of a leveling out year, and if we don't have any large industry, that might be a good indicator of somewhere's close to where we're gonna be?
Everything would say very consistent, I would say.
So if last year, through 228 of this year is 29,000, if you had to,
Yeah, if you divide it by the number of
The
months.
thing is, too, on the actual expenditures, if that's what you're looking at, sometimes we might have a stockpile from the prior year.
Right.
And I think
so-
that's what happened with polymer. We didn't have to buy it for, I bet, 8 months this year.
And you're at 29,
So
but that's
sometimes what
not,
we
that's not
usually
to the
do
end of
is
the year
look
yet.
at the budget to see where her budget sits at the end of the year.
Mhm.
And she'll call me and say, what's my budget look like? And then she'll say, I'm gonna order on last year's budget so that the current year's budget doesn't get hit.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
it looks good, I mean, to drop 25 now is great, and then in next year, if it still looks pretty flat, then we could probably bump some more next year.
Mhm.
Because my
That's what I'm
numbers,
thinking.
that's what my numbers came out with, you know. I didn't use how much we spent, I used how much we used times the cost, and that's how I came up with it.
Okay. Then we go to the
So we're not
last.
going to take anything out
Are
of
the
that?
costs stable?
We already did
Yes,
25,000.
pretty stable. They go out to bid every year.
It's
I would say
25,
ferric
50,
chloride,
right-
the
right
chemical
there.
ferric chloride fluctuates the most.
You mean more? Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that drug prices are
Yeah.
increasing.
We only have
Well-
three major, we have polymer, chlorine, and ferric, and
She-
they go out to bid every
I mean,
year.
she's only got the 1 year in of trying to, balance it out there.
Alright.
So, I mean, I'd like to see another,
Okay.
another year's drop. I mean, if, after taking 25 already, and then I
Okay.
don't want to leave them short on chemicals.
No,
But,
no.
Well, could that
you're at-
29,000?
You're
be
at
a-
29 now, but that's not till the end of the year. So you got more of the rest of the year to.
Well, let me ask you, like, do you expect a large expenditure that would bring that number, bump it up quite a bit, so that 63 would be a reasonable amount? Or you don't see any, like chemicals, like you said, you had a stockpile, but
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't come up with that number by looking at what we spent. I calculated how many pounds of polymer we used for a truck, how many gallons of ferrochloride, and then I multiplied the dollar amount, and that's how I came up with that number. So what we spent had nothing to do with how I
The
came up
cost
with
per
that number.
pound, the cost per
Yeah.
gallon, whatever that happens to be.
I think
multiply
it's
those out.
possible that this year will be better. As I said, last year, when we lost the industry, we lost the biological capacity to remove phosphorus. So we were using a whole tanker of ferrochloride a month. Well, for some reason, the last 3 months, we're not doing that.
Right.
So we are saving money right there. I can't tell you if it's going to stay that way.
Okay.
So,
Well, I guess we can let it ride.
Okay. Then you got your lab supplies?
Yeah, that's for, all the vials and things like that. We need to check for chlorine and pH, and we run some CODs on hot beverages still, just one a week. And I don't know,
She's running,
doesn't look like we've even had to buy much this year.
no.
Does that mean you may end up having to buy more next year then?
Right.
That
I
the
believe
odds
that's the
are?
same thing, we might have had a stockpile from the year before.
Do you have to travel to these plants to take
Yes,
samples?
it's only 3-4 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What cot plant?
Oh, Cot up on Water Street, I think it would be more like
Okay,
a
Water Street,
14
yeah.
mile round trip.
Mhm.
Then you got safety supplies?
Yeah, that's for, harnesses or anything that the guys might need. Safety training.
Confined space training, all that kind of stuff.
So it seems like a lot of your budget lines, last year was a time period of utilizing some stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just kind of,
I would say so,
Okay,
yes.
so we can't really cut using last year's numbers per se as credible numbers,
As the standard?
yeah.
Then just the next one is utilities.
Electric, it just looked like it was in line with what we were doing last year, but in the mayor's budget, we did cut it another 5,000. So I had requested 155. Rick can,
well, we're looking at,
It says, wait a minute, we're at 155, yeah.
if you do, how many months are left?
Well, she's trending at about 130.
Yeah. We got about 20 grand in there we could do something with if you're trending around the 130 mark.
130,
130,000.
mhm.
I mean,
That's where she's trending. Again, I don't know how, this is through February. There could be a bill or two that's not included in there, it didn't hit in the right month.
Right.
So, but I mean, like Roger said, there might be something there that you could snap up.
What about 15? Go to 140?
conservative, I would go 10 or 12. I would take out 10 or 12 grand out of that.
10 maybe?
What'd you say, Jim?
10 comfortable.
saying- he's
10
saying-
seems
I don't- I mean-
10 seems comfortable, I think. And
Because I think electric is scheduled to go up.
It is, I know. But I'm looking back on the previous actual years.
And she does use a lot of electric.
Be firing up that generator.
back.
Yeah, why
this
is-
is-
We
Why
used
it
to
so
actually
much
make
more?
money by doing it,
I know.
but we don't
Years ago,
anymore.
we used to spend $30,000 to $50,000 a month on electric. Now we're probably 9 to 12.
Right,
Um,
right.
And with
Maybe.
the,
But then we had that energy thing.
And we had centrifuges running for 16 hours a day instead of 6.
Well, that's where that's where the savings is coming
Uh-huh,
in, right?
yeah.
Now, I was wondering why it's dropping, and now
Yeah.
I understand now.
Because of the
Well, they don't
food
have as much
industry
to
being.
process.
As much to process, so
10?
we might, you know, at least 5 to 10. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I would-
I would not go 15, but at 5 to 10, I would think.
All right, let's push it to 12.
10? I'm gonna go 10.
All right, I'll do 10.
Yeah, I think 10
So
would
what's
be
that go to,
comfortable.
140?
You're an easy
140?
mark.
145.
145.
It'll take it to
You're an easy
145,
mark.
yeah.
You've been too easy.
I'm not done.
There's another big line there, don't worry.
Okay, and then you got your gas.
It's like an auction here.
Here, give me 20, 20.
What is that? Oh, that's my calculator.
Gas, water.
Betsy, does your gas consumption go down in the summer? You don't have to heat as much, or?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
So we're getting through like the heavier parts of using the digester gas
Right.
and stuff.
Does this involve heating the air or heating the water?
It involves
The
heating, we have 2 anaerobic digesters that can run on biofuel, but we don't have as much biofuel without the industry. So part of the time you have to use natural gas to heat that anaerobic digester. And in the winter, it has to heat the buildings. We can heat the buildings and the hot water to maybe November using biogas when we have enough. But
You-
so winter is definitely the higher.
And gas is going up again too a little bit, so I think we budgeted the same as we previous year. I think that's comfortable.
Yeah, based on where she is right
Yeah.
now, I
Yep.
don't have a problem with that one.
Okay.
And then the water, we can't look at the trend there.
No.
Water, there's an issue there.
Right.
Who gets the money for the water?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
We buy water from Dunkirk. It's in the town of Dunkirk, our plant.
Yes.
The problem is
What's
we
the
haven't
bill there?
paid them because they've been estimating our bill because they think that the meter is broken, but the meter is not broken. Betsy changed her process to use less water. But we
And
have
they-
to get
and
a
they-
plumber in there to
and they don't
change out
believe
the
it?
meter. No, they don't believe, no, that's okay. I mean, that's, for them to be,
Right.
but what we need to do is we need to swap out the meter, give it to them to go ahead and test it, and then they'll find that it is, and then we will actually have a credit on our bill because they've been
Estimating?
estimating very high, but we have not been paying the bills, we've just been foregoing paying anything.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right,
that's
so we'll
why
just
that
leave it.
number is I don't know what
I
to
guess,
put there.
I guess we just leave it because.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest.
Well, if you're
Let's
just kind
leave
of,
it.
I mean, couldn't you be guesstimating, obviously you've been guesstimating based on our statistics?
No, we were actually looking at the meter.
Okay,
We're looking at the
Just
meter and we're saying, well, we're not using that much water. And they're saying, well, you're not because the meter's broke. And we're saying, no, the meter's not broke.
okay, so we have an actual meter reading that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
watching. Okay,
Yeah,
all
that
right.
we're watching and that's why
Okay.
but,
All right.
we might be able to get that settled away before we finalize on the budget because I'm gonna call a plumber to go down there and change that. Dunkirk does have the meter for us, no.
Oh, they do, okay.
And
So
all we have to
swap
do
it
is go down there, grab the meter, install it, and take the old one back to them.
Okay.
We'll take a picture of the meter head so we know what the meter head went in there with as far
Right.
as a reading, and then we'll,
Is there a
Yep.
purchase charge for the meter?
nope, we pay a charge on the meter every bill.
Oh,
How much is
I
that meter
think
charge?
it's $750 a quarter.
What is it?
I think it's
Wow.
$750 a quarter.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So we paid for meters many times.
Many times
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
Double wham.
Boom.
Yeah. So then we got travel training.
Where are you going,
Oh.
Betsy?
Okay, now this one I bumped up a lot because I
Makes
kind of
sense.
made a mistake last year forgetting that we had a new operator training. We've gone a number of years where we weren't training any operators. They were already operators, they just needed certification renewal. The thing is, we have an operator trainee that has a Bachelor of Science degree. He can get his license in 2 years instead of 6. So he can do all his training in 1 year and then be an operator by next September.
Well,
So I did bump it up for that, and then I added a little more for you know, the certification training for Kenny's the only operator you have right now, and a possible new trainee that might come in, so.
As an operator, how long do you have to be an operator to be a chief operator?
It depends on your education level. If you have high school and you take all your training, it takes 8 years on site. Like this gentleman that has the Bachelor of Science, he could be chief in 2 years also, one extra course.
I would say training right now would be of the utmost importance.
Right.
To
For succession
employees
planning.
moving, yes.
That's why I think getting the 2 new guys into the pipeline too for
Yep.
succession planning is a good idea. It's something that we
So I think
should
we'll
do.
leave that then.
How
Yeah.
about education beyond the bachelor's degree?
I don't, it's not really, DEC doesn't have anything in addition to that. They say Bachelor of Science or so many credits of science will shorten your time of on-site experience, but they don't go above and beyond that.
Okay, I understand at one time there was a PhD who was the operator.
Yeah.
Nobody can
The
afford
first
that
chief
much.
operator was a chemist. Here's some if you want to look at this. This is the.
Well, for a
of the
PhD,
training.
we'd be paying like $200,000 or something for an operator. We can't afford that.
Right.
Not gonna happen.
I think we privatized.
Okay. Then we go into contractual
That's our,
testing.
yeah,
Mhm.
testing. That's a pretty solid number. I
Yep.
think I put $500 increase every year. All I do is multiply what we're paying right now times the number of tests that have to be done per year. So that's a very solid number.
Okay.
Okay. Fees
Um,
What are the fees?
for waste disposal.
Yeah, the major fee is the tipping fee from the landfill for our sludge disposal. In addition to that, we have a speedies permit annual fee of $8,000. Some waste transporter permits for 4 trucks, 2 of ours and 2 of the street department to haul whatever they're hauling for $1,100. And then there's some miscellaneous fees that come out of that also. We're running a quality assurance testing, it's about $200.
Most of it's tipping fees, Chautauqua County DPF.
Mm-hmm.
The past couple of years, 16, 17, they were quite high. Wonder what happened there?
We were still,
Oh,
we
what's
still
up?
had
Cranking it
when
out.
the industry closed.
Okay.
We still had the inventory that had to be processed out
So
of the
this is where we
plant.
are.
Okay.
Is that the year that two Betsy that we were hauling to Westfield?
It could be, yeah.
Okay.
It was shortly after that, yeah.
So where are we right now? 20 grand?
20, yeah, about 20, 20 and a half.
You don't think we have any room in that one?
Is there any wiggle room in that figure at all, you think?
Or did you put your pencil to it and really bottom line it?
Like if I gave you my sharp pencil, could it like go down like 5 or so?
Fees, waste hauler, loads.
You can't look at this line either because of the,
I kind of did 2. I said a certain number of loads was 21,840. The second load calculation was 43,680, and then I took the average of that. So 32.
Tipping fees going up this year, is that or anything? Do you know of any increases at the landfill or
no,
anything?
not that we know of.
So,
It's
according
just
to-
how much
Process.
wasting.
Yeah, they're
how
processing.
How much
wasting
sludge,
they
how much
have.
we're taking,
Right.
yeah. How many loads?
There might be wiggle room. If my number here, it says 32 to 35 instead of 40.
Yeah, so
I
maybe
was gonna
fine.
say,
Oh,
we
really?
could-
You
we
don't
could
mind?
grab that.
You think we could grab 5 out of there?
Yeah, we could try.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, I knew bringing a sharp pencil would help
Darn
today.
right. You did
Okay.
well, Mr. Essex.
Then we have gas. Betsy, you haven't ordered any gas this year?
Doesn't look like it, no.
Yeah.
Kenny's getting ready now. Got
Nice.
a note on his.
Okay, that's what I figured, so.
Is this fuel for the trucks?
Fuel for the truck, diesel for the truck, and we have a pickup truck and mowers that use
mowers.
The
gasoline.
tractors,
You
yeah.
can't fill up
And
here?
a tractor, yeah.
You have your own pumps down there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's another one that changed a lot when the hauling schedule changed, because we're down to 1 truck a week now. So
Right.
that really made a difference.
Mm.
Seems like a lot of money.
then we got maintenance on the vehicles, which is your trucks and
Right.
tractors and mowers.
Yeah, we
and
need to keep that in there.
You never know what's gonna hit.
That's, yeah.
And
How
our,
much? Mm.
our dump truck is getting older, the one that, our newer dump truck is getting older too. We've got
How
one.
old is that, Betsy? I was just looking at it, we're still paying on that truck.
That the yellow one?
Yeah, I can't remember what year it is.
Wow.
But it hasn't had any call for major maintenance yet. It's just getting older,
Because
so.
you don't have a lot of miles on it. You just take that to the landfill and back, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much, you wouldn't know how much fuel you have now, do you, in your tanks?
I know we're only have about 100 gallons of gasoline, and other than that, the diesel, I don't know.
So they'll be filling that tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But we,
Okay.
because we don't take as many trips, we don't buy it in big quantities anymore.
Right. Yeah, okay. Okay.
And I think
we're okay then.
I let Rick do that number.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's based
I
on
don't know. I
historical.
don't trust Rick.
I know, I wouldn't trust him either. You can't trust him as far as you can throw him.
All right.
What are you laughing about over there?
You're next.
Camera boy.
Camera boy.
Okay, now,
And then we got the maintenance of the vehicles.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that one too much because we,
I mean, I've seen your tractor, that's old, your pickup truck is.
Oh, the tractor, that's
I just-
capital, that we're gonna be fighting for that one.
Uh-oh.
So,
Hey, well, I know there's a brand new tractor
yeah, we'll discuss that in another meeting.
that's
Yeah, a little too big.
Yeah, a little
a
too
little too
big.
big over here that we might be able to utilize down there, or.
ooh,
If you could trade him a dump truck
Let me
for
ask
it.
you, why, in a situation like this, I don't know how often you use your tractor, does it have a bucket on it?
yeah, we use it, you could use it twice a day on a high flow, because we have, it's called grit that comes down the sewer, sand and anything that settles out. And
Yep.
it's a hopper, so you have to take the tractor bucket, put it under the hopper and empty it, keep the grit going, go back and do it again. On a very minimum, it would be 3 times a week they go up and get that hopper and all the rags that come down.
Right.
And then then after we collect them, we dry them, and then they have to scoop them up again and put them in the dump truck to haul them away. And they mow, well, if we had a mower, we could mow with it. If it had forks, we could use it to move things around with forks, and they also plow with it.
Because the reason I'm asking is because
Maybe we could get that
how
on the
often
tractor.
is that large tractor, or what exactly is it used for in the DPW, and could you buy a bucket attachment for it?
Be
Oh,
cheaper.
but we have the big, remember we bought that thing with the big attachment for mowing, the big
Right.
mower.
We
And that's
have
It's a big unit.
We have a big yard there.
Yeah, but this is a big unit.
I got one silly question, Betsy, maybe you can answer it for me. I worked for a highway department on Cape Cod for a lot of years, and I also worked for the landfill division. And at the time, we hauled our own sludge from our wastewater plant and stuff like that. Then they got into they actually privatized the hauling.
Mm-hmm.
Have we ever looked at possibly doing that? I mean, we don't haul that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know there are carriers around here with 9A hauling permit numbers that could haul our sludge or
I
our
could probably
powder.
try get some quotes and.
I'm just curious. I mean, have we ever decided
haven't
to?
recently, no. Mm-mm.
But you leave the truck underneath the conveyor.
That's true.
Yeah,
But
I
you
mean,
can also
use-
get
we use
roll-off
roll-offs.
containers.
We
yeah.
use roll-off containers. I mean, you could get 30, 40,
roll-off.
50, 60
Yeah.
yard containers, and
I
then
could
we'd have a
start-
private carrier
I
haul
could make
that.
some phone calls and.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there, just based
Yeah.
on.
Because the street department comes over to dump it. I mean, they
Right.
send a CDL driver up there and he takes it up to the thing.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not a bad idea.
You know, just because we don't, I mean, I'm just looking at the
Right.
times you go to the transfer station, or, you know, it might be.
Yeah, because it's only been 3 years since we stopped taking 2 loads a day. We used to
Correct.
take 2 loads a day.
Right.
Now it's 1 load a week or 1 to 2 loads a week.
And then, how long would it take to transfer that from the waste facility to the transfer station with our driver?
They're usually gone a couple hours from start to finish, from 8 to
Mhm.
10 maybe.
Okay, so you're saying that even that 2 hours could be
Mhm.
utilized at the plant,
Mhm.
rather than being in a truck,
Well,
right?
it's a-
Or you're
it's a-
using the DPW
Yeah,
guy.
it's a
Yeah.
Well, we could use him somewhere else other
Yeah,
than,
right.
that's 2 hours a day, you
Right,
could
2
be doing
hours a-
something else.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just curious, maybe we could take a
Yeah.
look at it.
Look at, definitely.
Thank you.
Look at lower, yeah.
And then we're gonna go to our capital, okay? That's, this one with the bracket on there, that's that's the big project, $4.8 million project. That's going to be going on soon. Capital, under capital.
Show me my tab.
Capital tab, not right here.
No, there you go.
Then you're going to go to sewer.
There it is. Yep, okay.
So that's the big project on top.
Yep. No,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and it's being paid for by, if you look at that line where the 4.768 million is, there's a grant for 1.192 million,
Mm-hmm.
and our responsibility is 3.6 million.
And when does it kick in?
This is going on right now.
Oh, okay.
The engineers are getting close to being done with the design.
Okay.
So, you know, then they'll be ordering equipment. I don't know what the lead time on those, those presses are or anything, I don't know. But it'll probably be in process next year,
Right.
which means we'll be having to make progress payments along the way.
Did you bring a highlighter?
No, I didn't today.
Listen,
I was asking if you had a highlighter.
oh,
wanted
I
a
do it in
highlighter.
my office.
I forgot.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that one's already, you know, in progress. We already touched on the meter replacement when Perry was here. Remember, that's 7,500 here, 7,500 in the water fund.
Mm-hmm.
So they replace $15,000 worth of meters every year.
Yep.
The I&I for 10,000, that was an issue with the Speedies permit one year that we,
Speedies permit?
yeah, that's her permit to be able to dump into the lake.
Right, we have a flow limit of, or a design limit of 3.3 million gallons per day. And if you violate that, there's an annual form you fill out, and if your flow, average flow is more than 95% of that, they notice you. In 2011, I don't know how many of you remember that, it was tons and tons of snow, and when it melted, and then it rained, and we had 6 months of high flow, and that flagged us, and they wanted to put it in our permit. We did fight to keep it out of the permit, but there was the promise that every year they'd be working on some part of that infiltration.
Which
Oh,
reminds
so-
me, are you still getting high flows?
It's coming down a little bit right
Just
now.
a little?
Yeah.
So what are we doing then to mitigate that then? So what is the funds actually being used for?
Well, the street department is supposed to be doing various things. I mean, there's things from, you know, you could smoke test to camera.
does do that, right.
Camera things, and, you know, there's all different kinds of things that
And he
we're
talked
supposed to
about,
be
he talked
doing.
about the other camera, so to be
And
able to.
there's also these
Mhm.
things that you can put in low-lying areas, you put them over the manhole covers, they're like these, things
That's
that
what I
go
was
underneath
Mhm.
the manhole
Does that
cover,
we might be able to?
and that keeps the water from getting inside the manhole.
Might be able to.
Right.
That prevents all of that water from coming into her system.
Mhm.
A lot of water comes in from people's laterals that are, you know, we
Right.
have an old
We know, we
style
talked about that,
houses,
but,
so
but
those
it-
laterals leak a lot of water. People have their
But if we're putting the
downspouts.
money, if we're putting the money into the budget, it should be being utilized
Right.
for that.
Right, that's what
So that's what I make
it's
sure.
there for.
And that's, but that would be what, this,
Those are the types of things we should use it for.
so that Speedy's is for that, so, okay,
Okay.
okay.
And then next up, drum roll, tractor.
Yeah, it's, I think I wrote down 1983, came from the street department after it had been split in half and then repaired, and we've had it since then. That's, and it's to the point now where we usually take it to Rexford, and they said, really, if this or that goes, we just can't fix it. And like I said, it's used throughout the plant for a lot of different reasons, and without that, I guess we'd be calling the Barnes, the street department, for them to come down and help us out a couple times a day or a couple times a week.
Did you get an actual quote?
Yes, I have 3 quotes.
And this is,
Mike Woodward did a lot of research for me, and so that's a pretty solid number. Might be bumped a tiny bit up just in case.
Well, see, my thought with the TPW tractor, I realize it has that, like, a brush attachment on the side, but if that's the only thing they're using it for in the summertime, I'm not sure.
Yeah, how many months out of the year are they mowing?
I don't know. I mean,
I mean, we bought it to mow, we bought it to do other things.
No, it does other things too. Supposed to.
I'd like to go down and see it.
It's a big tractor.
I want to see it.
I mean, my thought is,
What did we pay for that?
140?
What?
No, wasn't that somewhere in there?
Was it? I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I think
remember.
between the
Too
brush
much.
attachment.
Oh, that's right, it's
it was
100 and some
140.
thousand, yeah, 135,000, you're absolutely
Yeah,
right, because
yeah,
I just
that's-
bonded for that.
So my thought is, like I said, if, I realize they use it for other purposes too, but if the summertime, the main purpose was to do right-of-ways and stuff with that brush attachment, that's not very often. And in the wintertime, if they had a blade on it to do the sidewalks, I understand during
I
that
mean, it
time.
would be, you have to find out exactly what he's using
No, we
it for,
need to
because
look
it,
at some of
and
our
he had
equipment.
he presented a reason why he had to have it, and then why it was bonded to
I think that
purchase
needs to
that.
be looked at.
I mean,
Especially because the attachment that we bought, I don't remember the difference between the tractor and the attachment. The attachment was pretty expensive.
Yes, it was like, I think the tractor was 80 and,
The
I think
attachment
the attachment was like
around-
about 650 something or something.
Yeah.
It was quite costly as well.
Yeah.
so,
I mean, my thought, I mean, if you can utilize that tractor by, if it's feasible or possible to put a bucket attachment on it, I would say,
Everything can be modified.
uh,
well,
but-
it's always feasible,
But if
able to do
her,
it.
but if her requirements are on a daily basis,
Which it can be. During a high flow event, the hopper's 4 by 3 foot. It can fill up in 3 hours, and then you
I
have to.
I got a
keep
feeling
going.
the streets department's
Well,
not
let me
gonna
ask you
wanna give
this.
it up.
Perry was talking about the backhoe being a backup thing at the DPW there.
oh yeah,
I mean,
oh,
I don't know what condition that is in, but I know it's a hand-me-down. They have the new excavator they just bought, so I don't know, there's a thought there, utilize that.
They use it for plowing also, though, the tractor?
What'd you
Is it-
say, Betsy?
Are you talking the backhoe coming to the wastewater plant?
Yeah, I mean.
Can
it's a
that
bucket.
plow?
It's a- Well, you're using a bucket tractor to plow currently, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same thing, it just has a
Do you have a
backhoe.
blade on it to plow, or do you have a bucket?
it's a bucket, I think they
Oh,
just.
they plow with a bucket?
Yeah.
They mostly plow with our pickup truck, but there are certain areas that they use the tractor for.
Okay, so
That
they must use the bucket for
So, I mean,
those.
it's the same idea, but.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
That's a possibility, I mean.
You can always get a blade for the bucket too. I mean, it's not,
they have those big
Yeah, I don't
box.
know. I-
But-
They do.
But you know, if they're using a truck, the truck is fine, and then just use the bucket, because they gotta have the bucket for
Loading
your
up.
other, the other
well,
stuff.
we're gonna take
for-
we'll take a walk down to the
Well, that's what I'd like
For
DPW.
your
do.
grit chambers
I guess,
and that kind of stuff.
because I guess the guys would have to look at it and see if it would work for
Right,
loading the grit into the pickup truck and collecting the grit and rags out of they have to go into the building, go pull a chain and go down, drop the hopper contents into the bucket.
Well, I would like to investigate that, because if that's
Sure.
an option,
Yeah,
to
let's-
either upgrade the backhoe a little bit to
I
run
guess the
repairs.
idea is gonna have to talk to Perry to see what he,
yeah, with the condition
what the
and stuff
condition is, right. I mean, I agree, it's definitely worth looking at, if it could be used for, your needs.
Okay.
I mean, for now, I mean, at
Yeah,
least.
that one we should revisit.
Yep. I mean,
Yep.
And we took everything else off, so.
And that's it.
meter reader upgrades.
That was part of Perry's.
Yep.
That's for the Ron. So we've already covered that. And that's it for Betsy's portion of the sewer.
Any questions, comments, suggestions?
Are you talking about moving the tractor back and forth between
No.
two
No.
locations?
Now, we might have a piece of
Permanent.
equipment at the DPW that we may be able to utilize at her facility,
Then why aren't the sidewalks being plowed?
because it doesn't fit on the sidewalk.
That's not a sidewalk plow, it's a bucket.
It's a
Okay.
full-size tractor with a backhoe attachment and a front bucket.
Doesn't fit on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's not.
We'd be doing more lawn repair.
Yeah, this is an old piece of equipment that a new wheeled excavator replaced because it was in rough shape. but I don't know how rough shape it is, whether it can be repaired with a reasonable amount
Go down and take a look.
to utilize it for this operation.
You don't know until you
Yep.
ask.
All right.
You don't know until you ask.
All right.
If it doesn't
Right?
work, then we'll revisit
Right.
it.
Right.
The backhoe needs repairs? Is
I
it-
don't know.
No, we don't know. We're
We
gonna go
don't
down and
know.
take a look at it, talk to Perry.
Well, I mean,
See if it's
my
something.
guess is it probably might need something, but
I mean, if
it
it-
depends
yeah.
on if it's gonna work, if it would.
And then
suit
we'll
your
get one of the
needs.
guys to come take a look at it and see if it's something they could utilize. I mean, if it's a decent piece of equipment that we can,
I don't know how decent it is, but I mean, it's gotta have some, I mean, some value, it's still here.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have gotten rid of
Traded
it.
it.
He would have traded it in, so.
I would assume it'd have to be backhoe related, the backhoe part of it, because that's why they got a new excavator, so,
Right.
I mean.
But all you need it for is the bucket, not the backhoe, right?
Right.
So
Right.
as long as it has the bucket on the front, and if it works for what you need it for, then
Mhm.
we'd be okay.
Yeah.
And we could save that money, but if not, then we can revisit this.
yep.
Is that something we talked to Perry about, or you talked to him about this, Rick, or?
Yeah,
how-
we
how
can-
We can do it.
We
Okay.
could do it, but yeah, somebody's gonna have to go down there and take a look at it
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Mhm.
Look
Take a
at
ride.
the
We can take a
condition
ride
of it.
down.
I mean, I don't wanna give her
Yeah.
something that's gonna cause her nothing but issues.
Right.
Actually, I mean,
We've got some other
if
things
you're,
we're gonna go
if
back
we-
into. I think we can
should
help them.
Betsy look at it
That's
too? I
on
mean,
site.
just because she knows what she needs.
All right.
I
Or
mean, I
have
think,
Mike
Not
come-
myself physically,
Mike?
I would say one of the guys
Oh,
that
Yeah,
they.
Mike probably
well,
would
then,
be a good guy
right,
to do
right,
that.
okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I have a question about personnel and the operators. I understand you'd retired?
I'm retired, I'm a consultant. I work usually 7
Yeah.
hours a week.
Okay, so I understand we're looking for a chief operator? So if someone presented with a license at this moment,
Mhm.
you would welcome that individual?
Sure.
And
Yeah, and that, I've always said, you know, when you find somebody, then I'll be fully retired. So,
okay,
I would get it.
and you're looking forward to that?
Partially, I do like that little bit of, you know, extra money I receive.
Get spoiled with it.
I am spoiled, that's
I
terrible.
know. I agree.
Great. Thank you again, Betsy.
That's very
Okay, it's
interesting.
all set.
Thanks,
Very
yeah,
good to
thank
meet
you.
Very nice.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you.
That's a tough license to find.
It is. It's a tough one.
Not something that's readily available out there.
You know, it's
And
funny because
getting worse.
Yeah.
that's what I've heard. You know,
We even contacted our engineers, all of our engineers, to find out who they could get to bring in here, and they said, nobody.
You would think the universities would be
think.
directing people into it, knowing that there's such a need, great need.
Because I'm one of the generation that we were all hired in the 70s during the Clean Water Act, and we're retiring like, you know, crazy. So,
I'm hungry.
Well, if we could keep your one employee on track that has maybe a couple of years
There's
to
a-
attain that, that would be like.
actually, it's 1 year, he's been there a year, so his second year it's coming up, so. The exam is hard, as you know, so you can only hope everybody that tries, you know.
Can we pay you extra to tutor him?
Yeah.
Isn't basically what she's been doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
I always offer, but.
All right,
All
so,
right.
Okay.
Roger said he wants to go up to revenues, so we'll go up to Roger's.
Up to revenues?
We are?
You said you wanted.
Well,
revenues,
there's a couple
right?
things I wanted to
Okay.
visit.
Now I have to go and watch this.
All right, so you had some questions, so that's where we are.
Actually, not
Thank
on-
you,
not-
Betsy.
Not on the
Thanks.
sewer revenue. It was
Oh,
other-
oh.
It was other revenue.
All
That's
right,
okay.
well, let's
No,
go through.
I have, look at, clean. There was no
We
question.
gonna-
Oh,
we gonna-
okay,
we gonna do
okay.
chips
All
next,
right.
or what are we gonna do?
Yep.
So, what do you want to do?
Chip is here.
Yep.
Well, well, we're not done with sewer.
Oh, okay. So what do you want to do with sewer?
I don't know, you guys want to go through the revenue? I don't know.
I looked it
Yes.
over, and
Okay.
I don't have
The
any
sewer,
questions.
Anybody have any questions on the
Hold on.
sewer revenue, or?
Right now, I don't.
Sewer revenues.
So,
It's only one page, okay.
Like, I got quite, like,
It
SUNY
was on the
Fredonia.
tab before the ones that you were just looking at.
Rick, the revenues for sewer and water for SUNY Fredonia, is that based on a percentage of
Yes,
total water usage?
correct. Correct. And what happens there is they pay us a fixed amount of money every quarter. And then at the end of the year, I do the calculation quarterly. At the end of the year, we basically ante up, what they owe us for sewer, what they owe us for water. And if they've overpaid us, we give them a credit. If they've underpaid us, they pay us more. Okay, so it goes back and forth. Now, just so that you know, there's a tab here. It's actually calculating that number based on their historical, right here. So this is SUNY sewer charges, and it's based on, these are all of the costs, not all of the costs that we can assess against them. And then it calculates, these are their normal percentages of what they were as a percent of the village's consumption. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So those percentages might actually go up based on our total
Well,
usage going
their-
into it.
Their percentages has gone up. You can see right in here, they used to be in the 12, 13, 14. Now that here they were 16. Last year they were 14. And then I estimated them at about, the average is 13%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I used. I used the average of all of those years since 2006 all the way through 17. Okay. And then what it's doing is it's calculating based on these numbers, which are our budgeted numbers. So that revenue changed based on when you guys were making cuts.
Yep.
It was feeding this spreadsheet, which was then doing a calculation to go ahead and calculate what it was putting up there for revenue. So as you were cutting stuff out, the SUNY revenue was going down.
Oh,
So just so that you know, you can't automatically take, oh, we cut $10,000 out of that budget. Yeah, but it impacted what SUNY,
the revenue side too.
yes, it's going to impact it in a negative way. So you
Really?
cut 10,000, but you may have only gotten the benefit of 6,000 or 7,000 because our revenue went down because of that cut.
Is this the only,
But at the end of the year, just so that you know, at the end of the year, we're not looking at budgeted figures. We're looking at actuals. So whatever the actual is what the college will be paying us for, based on the actual, not on budget. I use the budget only as the calculation for the budget.
Right.
Okay?
Mhm.
So that's,
is SUNY Fredonia the only entity that our calculations affect, or is it?
PPD does too.
Okay.
The Pomfret Portland, but that's a Pomfret Portland Dunkirk Sewer District.
Mhm.
They pay based on sewer, their sewer as part of the village's total.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same type of calculation. In
Yeah,
fact,
do you use a percentage?
yeah.
Yeah. What percentage on an average do you use for that?
Okay, here's the PPD. It's another spreadsheet that's feeding that revenue, okay?
So this,
Averages.
You're
So-
averaging about 8?
So PPD is
8.5?
averaging about 8.5,
Okay.
8.38,
Okay.
but approximately 8.5.
Right. Okay.
And this is what we're billable as far as the operating expenses that we can bill them for. So then we just figure 8.38% times that, we'll plug into the revenue on the sewer side for their line. So when you cut money out of the sewer side,
Also,
that had an impact on what they would pay also.
okay, so we're, the sheet I'm looking at now, the mayor's was at 181 for the SUNY 195. It's now where? Because of those changes we made, it automatically changed to, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's where now? Then you got 178.
699,
that lowered it.
Excuse me.
Unless you-
Yeah, that's
right there, up on the screen,
So you're at 178.
178.
679.
6.
Shouldn't that be, receipts where the arrow is located, rather than expenditures?
It's revenues, right here.
Actual revenues. right.
Revenues.
But it says
And
expenditures.
then,
That's confusing.
Don't look at it.
and then, so then.
That's only printed when I print the expenditures down below. Okay, this is
That
the
header,
this is
yeah.
the revenue side. So you're looking
Yeah.
here and you're looking at appropriations over here.
Right.
So the header was for on both.
And then PPD went down to where?
Your PPD 88,541, right? Yeah, I'm in the
88.
right line.
88,541.
I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I mean, you do see the cut, like you say.
Yeah,
You see the
you're
reduction.
gonna see the
in revenue.
reduction.
No, it says, yeah, it's kind of a shame.
It
If you thought you were
depends-
doing a good job cutting
Again,
stuff
it
out, you
depends.
just got spanked.
It depends what line you're cutting too, because certain lines they don't pay for anyway. Certain things they don't, it's out of their calculation. So some of the lines that we spend money on, they are not assessed for those things. So there's only certain things in that budget that they get assessed for. So you have to know, this line is something that impacts SUNY, this line affects PPD, so it's complicated, it gets complex.
Is there some, are you saying that there's some things that maybe we should put some money back into?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just
No,
saying
I
that
feel
it's
the
not a
cuts.
direct correlation to the exact amount that
To
you
the-
cut out.
Okay,
Because some of those lines that you cut out may not have been ones that they're assessed on.
I see, but the formula
Yeah.
works this way. I
Right,
see.
right.
Gotcha. And it,
The formula goes into the whole budget, and it just pulls the numbers
Gotcha.
out that it does impact.
so the end results may not be
Correct,
as
not a
bad as.
direct correlation.
Direct correlation.
So you might have hit a line for $10,000 that didn't impact that line at all. That
Right.
didn't impact the revenue at all. But then again, you might have hit a line, $10,000,
Did.
that impacted both.
Most of it,
So,
yeah.
you know, it's,
I wouldn't reconsider based on this.
No, me
I mean,
neither.
I believe the cuts were needed and,
no, I wouldn't
appropriate.
either. You're absolutely right.
No, I think, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we understand now that it
Yep.
may not be the total amount at the end of the day that we cut.
Right.
Okay, well, where did we start out with sewer? In the mayor's budget,
I'm sorry.
budget summary. I'll get it. It was at 338, now you're at 313, or 314.
Possibly more depending on,
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that,
You're at 314 now.
okay,
You were coming in at 338. She
Oh, we were
came in
coming-
at 338,
okay.
okay? So that's the impact we had on there. Which all in all, it is a doable budget. That's a
We're now at a doable budget.
doable budget. And if you look at water over here, water is basically break even.
Right,
That's why I'm not too concerned about Chris coming in, but,
right.
you know, like I
So
said,
we're
he's
now-
on vacation.
so we're now-
I wanted him and Betsy to be here tonight, water and sewer, so we could put those to bed and just concentrate on the big fund, which is the general fund, because that's where we need to really concentrate the efforts here. But, with that said,
So we're now at 313.92.
are you okay?
Mm,
You okay?
Yep. okay,
Yeah?
we're right now.
Everybody okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
So far, and you know, that's not including anything that we have considerations out yet still.
Yeah, now Mike had a question about insurance before, Mike, right?
yes, I did.
Okay, what was that?
There's a provision there for unallocated insurance.
Uh-huh.
And I
That's your liability
didn't see what it was
insurance.
doing in the sewer,
That's liability
Fund.
insurance.
and what liabilities do we face? So,
You have liability insurance on everything in that plant. You have insurance on everything there, including all the equipment. If something were to blow up in that plant, you have to have
Yeah.
insurance on it,
okay.
okay? So that's what you have. You have insurance on that, you have insurance on...
How about on environmental damage to,
Yeah, we do. You have a $10 million umbrella for environmental stuff.
So, like contaminating the Dunkard water supply, something like that. Would that cover that?
Yeah, there's a 10 million umbrella that covers everything, all casualties, so you would have everything. That includes everything.
Okay,
And again, that's just an allocation, that's not really saying, oh, this is a perfect thing, this is specifically the sewer. So it's just a percentage that goes to general water and sewer, because we pay one bill across the village. Okay, so we don't go in and dissect and say, well, this is the village, this is for general, this is for water, this is for sewer, this is for general water, sewer. We don't do that. We just look at it and say, okay, approximately X amount is for the waters, so much is for the village as far as the general, so much is for the sewer plant.
mm-hmm.
It's not an exact science, let's put it that way.
Well, I think, none of the budget is an exact science.
I was gonna say, accounting's not an exact science.
Yeah.
Okay? Any other questions from anybody?
It can be in retrospect.
I'm sorry?
It can be in retrospect. So it's, it's 10 years after the
Camera
fact.
boy, where is he?
Well,
So,
hindsight is 20/20, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
no, I'm saying that, it,
Schedule.
having a historical perspective could give indications for expenses for the future. So,
Yeah, but accounting is full of estimates. Estimates automatically, once you put your pencil to paper, it's wrong, because you're never gonna be on that number.
but, 10 years afterwards,
Doesn't
when
matter. You're
everything's,
still estimating
everything's
based on
posted.
different criteria, so the price of gas doesn't stay the same. The price of natural gas doesn't stay the same. The price of water doesn't stay the same. So historical doesn't teach you, down to the penny. That's all I'm saying. It's not an exact science. There's no exactness to it. We do have exactness in contracts, so like when we develop our contract for the fire contract with the town, that'll be an exact
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, when's that?
This year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to do that in the fall,
Right.
before the end of the year, because the
Right.
contract expires December 31st.
Someone questioned me on that, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I was gonna ask
Yep.
you. Okay.
Okay?
All right.
All right, you want to do Chip?
Sure. Bring it.
He's easy.
Camera boy.
Walk on this side.
Take a walk on the wild side.
Yeah. Walk on over to our side.
Oh, look at this, huh?
Oh.
I don't have a fancy computer like
Oh.
this, so I have to give out.
I already got one, Chip.
Wow.
No, I got
It's
it.
like a Sears catalog, it's like a wish book.
It's Christmas
okay,
list.
thank you.
And like Christmas, you don't get all your toys.
Yeah, I love
Are you on the good list, Chip, or the bad list? Are you on the good list or the bad list?
Well, on that list, we put in proposal for for a total amount of $259.21. Most of the list that you have in front of you was based on redoing this room with better audio. It's been a complaint several times. People have said they can't hear back here.
Got a wish list.
People can't hear. We're streaming all our services now. A lot of our stuff is being streamed. So you're still in the shop, man.
I was gonna say, I was gonna go like this, but
You're still in the.
how did you know that that's what I was doing?
I know what you're doing.
You can come.
I'm over
Why
here.
don't you stand behind us so
No,
you're in
no,
the.
no. I always behind the camera. Remember that.
Right.
So
We're on the Capitol. This is
Cap-
Chip's Capitol.
Chips Capital. The mayor proposed
I'm over here.
2,500 for her proposal for that, for a capital, is that right?
She gave you 2,500.
2,500 proposal. There's a lot, there's cutting.
There's a lot
here.
there you can cut.
Yes, there's a lot to be cut in here.
Access cable.
I meant further from the 2,500.
What's that?
I meant further than the 2,500.
Oh, for the 2,500, okay, sounds good. So basically, the equipment in there are microphones for the system, also some backup. We have one streaming unit we have, so if that one fails.
So what did you give me?
unfortunately, we have nothing to back ourselves up with. So I
Cut.
could be honest with you, if it was right around 8, would be sufficient.
That's what all this totaled up?
No, that totaled 16,200.
All this right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You have a total on there, don't you?
Yeah, it's at the bottom.
Bottom of the last
At the
page?
last sheet.
Oh. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
All right.
We
And
might,
then that's what's left after the cut. is
we were hoping for this
2,500.
desk.
I see. Okay.
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 We were kind of hoping for this interview desk, which is just basically a desk that looks like kind of what you have, but it's multiple changeable for a studio downstairs, which a lot of you've been down there already.
Yes.
So we took that out and it came to $11,264.21 without the desk. That was one of the parts of the proposal of trying to get rid of. But there's other things that can be eliminated out of here, to get us down, but bare bones would be about right around 8. Would pretty much cover that. One of the ideas is, you guys, I don't know how well you see that screen. Not very well. One of our proposal was to get ourselves a bigger TV, a monitor system, so that you could put it closer to you and have a better operation, more of a presentation. So if somebody comes in and wants to do a presentation, more and more people are doing presentations on HD capability, HD systems, laptops. A lot of it, like Rick's laptop, is kind of ancient. It's getting old. So it allows you to put a bigger screen on it. It's a 75-inch TV. We're looking at putting in on a cart, similar to what we have here now, but it would be an HD. But it would be used for, I apologize. It would be used for presentations. Muted that. Presentations, and basically what this whole budget was just to get this room up to specs where we can actually, the audio microphones you have in front of you are 10 to 12 years old. They're actually illegal. The FCC said that those 350s, they can't use them anymore. Well, they say they can't use them, but we've been trying to purchase one slowly to replace them. So what we're looking at for microphones is each individual person would have its own microphone and a desktop, which you could mute it if you guys were talking privately or whatever situation. And a couple speakers that we would mount in this room, and that would, and a new audio board that would work with it. And it's all wired system, it's not wireless, so we get a little bit clarity of audio on it. We were looking at adding another camera similar to that camera, but yeah, 9. It's including the
8 and then 1.
the ones here. We would use the wirelesses and place them a little bit easier, so we don't have cords. So we're still going to be using some of the older stuff, but just to out here in the audience, we're looking at putting something out here so people out here can be usable too.
And you got these quotes from the
They're
web?
from D&H Video, which
Okay.
is our distributor, which we, because we're a municipality,
Right.
we get low cost.
Right.
So those costs could come down anywhere between $10 and $15, depending on what we bid out for. Depending on how, it all depends on what D&H is offering on their state bids.
Right. Okay.
So we get a little lower prices, but those are ballpark.
Where are we going?
That's what that was. Probably a pile of it,
Yep.
no?
Yes, Jimmy Fredonia.
Good. So. Any questions?
Yeah, you said 8. The total here between your budget line and capital projects is $6,600.
No, we're not looking at that.
You're not
This is
looking at
capital.
you're looking at the cost for my equipment. Also, all the cost is the material.
That's
supply.
capital.
Okay.
This is just
What,
capital.
then the paper you're holding in your hand is in the capital fund, not in the his normal appropriation account. So you have to look at the capital.
So the number you're looking at right now is in the box,
The 2,500. That's what's left after the cuts.
Well, we're at a big spread here, Chip. We have to
You know, we all gotta roll up our sleeves a little bit.
I'm sorry?
What's that? I said we all have to roll up our sleeves a little bit here, Chip, so
I understand. I totally understand.
without the desk, it's 11. Where does that put you?
What's that?
I'm just saying your estimate, without the desk, it's at 11,000.
Yes. When I say about coming down 8, there's items like the controllers, 500 for the B&H converters, they're analog to digital. We can get rid of those. Some other items, the desk.
Chip, where
TV.
are we with the negotiations with Charter?
We've talked to them, they brought in legal now for the contract. So we're
It's a good
hoping,
sign.
that the legal will come back, we're waiting for them to come back with another contract, with a kind of what we've negotiated with them.
You gave them a number, though.
We gave them a number, they came back, they would not come back with another number, but they kind of said no. So we came back with a lower number, and they said possibility, but we have to still negotiate the final of that. It's all negotiations, it's all part of the whole thing. Spectrum, very difficult company. There's not us only, they're dealing with Lockport, Mayville, a lot of municipalities with public access channels. One of our major things we're trying to discuss with them is trying to get them to have us on HD capability. Right now we're on analog on the cable. We're trying to get HD. It's been pretty a hard negotiation. I have a meeting here shortly to put some extra feeds in different areas. Russell Joy Park and Clinton Avenue, things like that. We're going to look at putting some remotes out there to do some more stuff. So the cable board has had multiple discussions. They're supposed to come down in April, but they moved it to May. So May is when they come back with some negotiations of what we've already put in the contract.
What was the number you asked for?
We originally were at 140, but we've gone down to about 77. So, and I think that number could go lower. They want to go lower, and we think we can go lower with it if we can get some items that they're willing to purchase to compensate for it, some of the bigger ticket items. So we could actually go lower. I don't know, maybe you're not familiar, Roger, and my Time Warner pays a franchise fee, and I think you can bring that up, can't you?
With Spectrum?
Spectrum, well,
Yes,
Charter's the company, but Spectrum's the sub-area of the Charter. So
Yeah.
we've been dealing with kind of Charter and Spectrum, both same thing. So we get a franchise fee that comes in, and that franchise money is what you guys see on your budget as a revenue, I believe is correct. That revenue is brought in. So I've always said on the cable, more people who have cable, more money you're going to get back in here. So it's an investment, what we do. So a lot of stuff we put on the air, this stuff, the meetings, your thing on the 12th, we'll probably air that for sure. The
DOT
here,
meeting?
But that roundabout that's happening, we'll air that. So we do a lot of stuff that we try to keep people to keep cable. But we also do the YouTube side to satisfy other people who aren't having cable or outside the area, or more or less a documentation here for note taking or whatever.
So YouTube is after the fact?
Yeah.
It's not live, is that what you're saying?
No, but YouTube is live. We're live.
Oh, it is? Okay.
They're
Yeah, we're
streaming.
streaming right now.
Okay.
We stream everything we can. So, but we only have
Can
one
we get
streamer
anybody to
and one camera.
donate some of this stuff?
If one piece item goes, then we're
We'll put your
down.
name on the TV.
I'll look. Today was a bad day for me because my phone, I did an update, and the app that runs the streamer no
Yes.
longer works on my phone.
Yeah, I've had that
I had to go
happen.
old school with an old phone to get it to work today.
I've had that happen too.
Yeah, that technology is changing. So one of the things that's in this proposal is an Apple iPad that will work with our streaming services, and also work with some of our other equipment that we're looking to purchase later. Every piece of equipment we buy we buy, we progress that we're going to use it later and for when we go fully digital in a studio type setup. So the cameras have got smaller. If you were here before, the camera was probably 3 times the size of that. Now it's a little camera, and then we're sending 720 HD gun services. So we've improved quite a bit, and the money you guys gave us last year has overaccomplished a lot of things. Editing, we're editing a lot of, start editing some new shows, working on some new ideas, and we're streaming, which is a big thing on the system. Some of the pieces of equipment that are in there are for streaming some remotes, which is a very hard problem we have right now is streaming our remotes. We have fiber throughout the village, high school, the high school, town of Pomfret, different areas. So a lot of football games, we're hoping to stream those football games this year or next year. So we need a piece of equipment, which is a transmitter that basically allows us to transmit HD back to the station, and we stream that from there. Otherwise, we're streaming analog, which kind of going backwards. Any questions?
I mean, I appreciate what you've accomplished during the last year. This is phenomenal because it not only documents our meetings and everything that we do, but people can see it live other than on a TV set. If you have a electronic device, you can view this, which is where we're going.
Right.
It's just that we're in a hard place right now, and as you witnessed our our things, we're just super bare bone budget stuff that you can, that's, I'll just treat you like a car salesman. Is 88 grand your best number?
5. Would you willing to go 5?
You looking at me?
Yeah.
What is this? Let's make a deal.
Yeah.
Well, a little while ago it was like an auction. So
Well, I just-
15, 20, 25, I was going to have the guy come in a minute and say 10, 20, 30,
Right. I just went on eBay and a Samsung 6300 series 75-inch HDR TV you can buy brand new for $1,199 with free shipping.
Where?
So I just saved you
Where?
$500.
eBay.
eBay.
Problem with eBay, we don't have a credit card for the village.
Oh.
We cannot buy from anybody.
We have PayPal?
Ask the gentleman next to you. Trust me, I could find.
I'm just saying there might be opportunities
I
to.
totally agree. I could find things a lot cheaper.
Right.
I have purchased stuff, my own credit card.
Right.
Because I've been able to get it cheaper.
Sure.
Than go through the, and Rick will answer that question for you. I have purchased stuff cheaper than I could buy it directly.
Right.
But because the village doesn't have a credit card.
Right.
And there's no way.
Well, again, maybe it's something where you could research it could be, I didn't look into detail, it could be a distributor or manufacturers and somewhere else that we could contact and say, hey, we'll cut you a check. I mean, I'm just saying that.
Good luck, because I've gone to distributors. Matter of fact, we have one right now. We just purchased from our last piece of our budget. I just got done with Rick. We purchased a unit that allows us to stream other events. Because Time Warner Charter, Spectrum, has gone to digital,
Right.
totally digitalized, which
Right.
we're now offered on 1301. which
I know,
is-
my wife had to
crazy.
find it the other night.
Yeah. Because they've done that, we've lost our services to get shows from Mayville.
Ah,
Our live feeds from Mayville, where they do the show in the 4th of July Park and things like that. And we've aired those for
Right.
years. We're losing that feed. And the only way to get that feed is through streaming.
right.
So we're going to stream that stuff from them. The unit we just bought, which was like $1,200. This guy won't send it to me until he gets a check.
Sure.
Our credit card use is no problem, but I'm not going to use my credit card.
Right.
So no, I agree. There's
Doug can use his Disney card, he needs the points.
Sure, absolutely. Not a problem.
You could go to Walmart and probably buy a 75-inch TV cheaper. I'm not arguing with you.
Right,
But we
I'm
do
just saying.
have a Walmart charge card.
Yes, that we do. So we probably would go towards the Walmart.
But I'm just saying, we could find you a couple of bucks in here, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm Rod. Not a problem.
Okay. And this is pretty much everything you need? Pretty much.
Pretty much, but like I said, if we went down, if you gave me 5 or 6, I'd be happy.
Okay.
That would be bare bones. That would get us the audio in here, an extra piece item to stream,
Right.
and allow us to do some of the stuff that we need to
I don't-
bare bones on.
You weren't here the other night when I think it was the wind farm came in and did a presentation a couple of nights ago. I stopped by and happened to see it. And they use the same laptop system and stuff, but his traveling board that they used, amazing, this thing that he pulled up. I mean, it just folded up the size of a suitcase.
Right.
But when he flopped it up and opened it up, and it was like watching a 3D movie. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that
Sound
type of a,
screen?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was really impressive.
His projector's about $2,500.
Right, but I'm just saying, it was impressive. And I understand, they sunk a little money into it, but just the screen alone, I mean, I know you're talking about possibly doing other things with our, streaming in our screens and things like that, so.
We're trying to concentrate in here because we've had people talk, both through the mayor and other people. And-
Oh, absolutely.
And you guys, and you mentioned one
Yeah, I
thing about
did.
the audio.
Right.
I'm trying to look at to improve the audio in this room.
Right,
Because
okay.
it's a major part of what we do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why we're looking, that's what we,
Hey, not to interrupt, but can we use this stuff remotely? Like, let's just say we had other events going on in the park
Yes.
and things like that, we can take this and go and
as
stream
long as
and.
we have as long as we have the new unit that I just talked about, the
Yeah.
streaming unit, we could go remote somewhere, stream, and then pull it off the screen and put it on our station, and YouTube the whole 9 yards. We'd have to have some form of internet connection.
Okay,
The unit we have now is wireless.
Right.
So if you had a phone that had unlimited data,
Right.
might I tell you it's going to suck up a lot of data. At 75 to 720,
Right.
it's anywhere between 3 to 5 gigs per hour for you to use that data. So if you were streaming something, yes, you could stream
ball
that's,
games or maybe
yeah.
a special event we have in the
we went to a
park or
game,
something.
as long as we had an internet capability at 100 megabytes capability, enough speed, there wouldn't be a problem. We could go remote. That's what that was designed for when I made it and purchased it, was for remote feeds.
Okay,
So,
all right, just food for thought.
Let me ask you this, what you are asking, do you foresee that same kind of upgrading every year now? Or, I mean.
just little pieces.
Are we, I
I
mean,
hope that the cable contract will take care of everything. We'll do what I'm looking at it is every dollar that we spend right now brings us a little lower in what we could purchase in the cable. You understand? In the franchise agreement. So if we put 5,000, we'll say put 5,000 or 6,000, whatever. That's $6,000 less than I have to try to pull off of franchise, of trying to get the contract. The reason is my personal opinion, I'm having a hard time with Charter ever agreeing to a franchise agreement. I really do, because the little municipalities, town of Pomfret, things like that, have not signed, but they're very easy. They don't have public access involved with it. We have public access, and that's been the hardest part. So they get maybe a franchise fee of $2,000-3,000. We're looking at a franchise fee of $77,000. So they're having a hard time saying to toss that money. And the funny part about it is it's not coming out of their pocket. It's paid through the subscribers. But their subscriber rate is going down. We're trying to put something on to keep the subscriber rate to stay up. So you think they kind of come in a mutual agreement, and that's where we're at right now. We're just both kind of figuring out what pros and cons.
so you're saying we need Dan to play hardball?
Yes, it's very hard. We've talked to them, and time after time. I wish I had a couple of cable board members. I asked them to be here, but we didn't get.
They know better.
They know better. They put me out in the middle of nowhere. No, just kidding. No, they did fine. And this, like I said, I didn't just do this myself. I had this done with the cable board members. Went through it and sat down, said where we want to go with it, what's the best ideas, purchasing, and what. So it's not me individually; it's through the cable members. So I'm not the only one that makes the decision. Just to let you know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
We might as well go down, as long as you guys are on that schedule, we might as well go down the village hall list of capital projects.
Okay.
You got to rebuild of the parking lot here,
I just saw
right
that.
here,
Yeah, I just saw that.
and that's an estimate. Perry developed that estimate, so.
We had that in before we took it out, we used it for something else, I know
Mhm.
yes, it needs it, there's no doubt.
So I understand the problem is there's inflow of water into Village Hall
Mhm.
The grading,
because the
yeah.
parking lot is defective in some manner, and how is it defective?
It's actually tapered toward the building and not away from the building.
Okay, that's, yeah,
The parking lot.
yes.
That's why we're getting a lot of water to settle into the building, because it's running alongside the foundation of the building. And the building being as old as it is.
Chief Myers pointed that out to me.
Penetrates, yeah, it penetrates through the walls. So, that's been going on for years. This is nothing that's just happening. It's been
Yes.
going on a long
But
time.
it's not good.
No, it's not good, it's not good for the building,
It's
no,
gonna
it's not
cause-
good for the
It's gonna cause more
foundation.
problems.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it.
Is there a basement in this building?
Yeah, where
Police
the police
department.
department is.
That's the basement?
That's the
It's not
basement.
very low. So,
Well, it's below ground.
The station's below ground.
When you look at it from here, Mike,
About
all
4
of the-
feet.
all of the basement is,
So-
like where Chip is, that's underground. You know where his
Yeah,
office, his
I've been
place
there.
is? Okay, yeah, the rec room there, whatever you
Yes,
wanna call
right.
it, where the public bathrooms are down there. That's
okay.
what we're looking at. They're on the same level as that. They may be a little bit higher. I think they're up on a platform.
So presumably there's footers around the wall though, that are deeper than the
Oh,
basement?
sure. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Those go down quite a ways,
I would think so, yeah.
yeah. That's what that is. Again, that's a finance project. So
Yes.
that would go for bonding. And just because it's in the budget doesn't mean that we have to spend the money, just so that you know, if you wanted to leave that in there and then during the year you say, you know what, we just can't afford to do it, we don't have to spend the money. Just because something's in the budget doesn't mean that you automatically have to spend that money, okay? Just
For this project to come to fruition, we have to do engineering again, or?
That's a good question.
What do you need for
I
that?
don't know what Perry's expertise is on something like this, so it might,
I remember Jack said it could have been done in-house.
well, yeah, but Jack had the expertise. He
Right.
He knew a lot more on
So
how
I
to do
don't
that
know,
kind
you're
of
right.
stuff, so,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's a grading, or the grading's.
Exactly.
required.
You want to do it once, so you want to make sure you're doing it right.
And I'm wondering about when you mentioned the building when they excavate, should there be a water barrier put around the buildings to prevent or some type of additional drainage so that prevents the water from coming into the building? Like when you do a home, if you're, you get water coming in your basement, you want to do, preventive barrier of some sort, is that something we want to look at along with that, if it could be included?
Yeah, now you're getting into, that
Engineering
130 isn't going to cover
No.
half of that.
Right.
You're
even if
into a
it's-
whole lot different.
Well, the water coming in isn't because it's infiltration through the soil, it's because the grade of the
The grading-
parking
the
lot
grading
is
of the
going
parking
towards
lot,
the
right.
building.
Right,
So if you do the
exactly.
grade the other way, that should take care of the water, you would assume it
think
most,
so.
most of it.
You would
Yeah, but
think so.
you're right, there would be some
I
still
mean,
issues probably.
even if it's just, like when you put in a basement, they tar the side of the freaking building, the concrete. If that's something that
Yeah.
needs to be done, not that it'd be a big deal, but it's,
Well, maybe that could tie into the historic building repairs.
I can't hear you.
Well, the historic building repairs is, as you know, the front steps are,
right.
And
and I'm being
can we
told.
throw the windows in there
Yeah. That might pay for a couple ones.
too? Right.
The steps, I'm being told, is a bigger job than probably any of us realize. That whole, everything's got to come out of it.
Been under my-
Everything, right from the top all the way down to the bottom. Has to all be rebuilt from underneath. So whether that 50,000 is enough, I have no idea. I just pulled a number out of, I just. grabbed
So you didn't get an
50,000.
estimate like
No,
from
because
Carpal
I'm
or
waiting
any of
for a contractor to give me an
An estimate of some kind?
estimate on that.
No.
And he hasn't done that yet, so I don't know what's going on. I gotta give him a
So,
call.
the other question, since it is registered as a National Historic Monument, it has to be constructed with original materials,
Mhm.
okay?
Although that's been rebuilt already, Mike, that's not original. And that wasn't put back the way that it originally was.
Okay, that's interesting.
But subsequent to doing that, they've taken, like for the roof, I'll give you the roof as an
Yes,
example.
please.
We've taken historic preservation money, grant money to do
Yes.
that roof.
Right,
We signed on the dotted line saying
Yes.
that anything that we do to the building on the outside, we can do whatever we want on the inside. Anything on the outside needs to be exactly what you said.
yes.
Has to be original stuff. And sometimes that's not easy to do.
So
And it's very expensive when you go.
I
ahead and try
recall
to
the
do it.
discussions at the time the roof was repaired. Is there some possibility that they might require to go back to original construction specifications?
I don't know.
So,
I'm not a historic preservation person. I guess we would probably have to get SHPO involved in this.
who's this?
That's the state historic preservation. They would get involved in this,
Yes,
and then they would basically drive that process. SHPO, when they got involved with the roof, it was, I was told right from day one, you don't question them. When they tell you to jump, you just ask how high you want me to jump. Just
Yeah.
do what they tell you, because they're not going away, otherwise you will lose funding. So I guess, if we're looking at something like that, maybe we go to SHPO and apply for a grant. And say, look, if you want us to put this back like that, we'll want a grant. They gave us.
but doesn't any sort of exterior repairs has to be cleared with the historic preservation officials?
Yeah,
So,
same thing with the parks.
yes,
You're not supposed to cut a tree down, plant a tree, you're not supposed to put anything in that park until they come in and say, what are you putting there? Why are you putting it there? Does it maintain the historic nature of the park, or is it moving it away from that?
yes,
Because we were warned about this stuff that went in there about the Olympics, shouldn't have been in there.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
They had threatened that you will be taken off of the state historic preservation, the state register, as well as the federal register if you put any more stuff in that park.
I see.
So, they do step in and they put their foot down, and it's like, that's what you want to do, you can go ahead and do it, but you will suffer the consequences of that. So,
might we luck out with the steps, and the original steps were wood? We spent like 10
well, wait a
grand.
minute, I was gonna say, maybe that's the case,
Right.
maybe that's what we should do, put treated lumber in there.
We'll take it from the reservoir.
I mean, that would be a ironic turn of events, we've had granite or whatever you've had there for the last 50 years, but it was not
Right.
historically correct.
Right.
It's that sandstone.
Or sandstone.
And it just deteriorates after a while, and it just, the steps on the side of the building, we were going into the Opera House on the side,
Yes.
they literally imploded on themselves eventually, because it's that sandstone, and it just gets, I think it's from the salt and stuff we throw on the stuff.
I'm
but
more
it-
familiar with that in terms of tombstones.
I'm sorry?
I'm more familiar with that sort of thing in terms of tombstones.
Is that right?
So,
Yeah, same type
So
of deal?
marble and granite endures, and sandstone becomes illegible after 175 years.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
So the village steps, we can't even probably do an emergency repair if needed. If they crumble to the point of it's dangerous, you shut it down and then,
Well, we already did half of it.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, we can't go in there and do
Well,
a
they-
non-historic fix temporarily.
I mean, because we've had it like that, so, you know, you got one side open. I mean, if you had a tree, let's say you had a tree in the park that was a danger to the residents of the village of Fredonia, and any people that visit that park, you can take it down.
Okay.
And then you could tell them, we had to take it down because the tree was split or something was, you know, that the tree was in danger of falling on people. So it was a public hazard, so you could take it down. I'm not so sure we can make that same argument for those front steps because you have a side entrance over here.
So in theory, if it posed a danger, we would have to shut it down and not perform an emergency kind of non-historic repair.
Yeah, I don't think that would, I think because you have another entrance to the building, that wouldn't,
Fly.
yeah.
And we have fire escapes.
If what?
We have fire escapes, too,
Yeah.
in the building.
Yeah. So, well, that's what the historic building repairs, again, I don't know if that's enough money, I was just shot in the dark, 50,000, I'm hoping that that's enough. But again,
I
Whether
think
you
that
need-
the sort of maintenance of the buildings is really important because it gives an impression to visitors and citizens
yeah,
of the integrity of the community. So I was distressed by the condition of the library steps. The front entrance to the library, it was 10 years that entrance had been closed. And the library board has since taken money out of its accounts to repair those steps. So,
yeah, because we rebuilt the side over on Day Street side a few years ago. We put all new railings and new concrete and stuff, you know.
yes, I do, yes, right, right.
Day. So, yeah. I mean, we have a lot of issues with buildings that we own, there's no doubt about it. You got a fire hall, you have this building.
Yes.
I mean, these windows, yesterday, was it that we had that wind?
Oh, I bet.
I mean, literally, windows blow out of this place and stuff like that. They rattle, they blah, 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 until the glass just
Flies.
blows out.
That's the noise.
Like that. That's what it is. They're just, you just take.
So there was breakage, is that what you're saying, of glass?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There was.
Normally, you know, I'm glad we didn't have any. Normally, we'll have glass literally flying into the street. Just whole panes of glass that broke out of the
We still
window.
got to go over
A
Uh-huh.
lot of these windows are being held together with angle irons, so we put it to hold the window together because it's all rotted. They're all rotten. The wood's all rotten and it's barely holding that glass in place.
You really need a grant for the overall
Exactly.
building.
And these
the
windows, you look
overall
at the
building.
size of these windows won't be cheap. I mean, these
So
windows.
one more reason to have someone to write grants.
This is gonna be
We'll put our
millions.
man Nate on it.
Nate's getting stretched pretty thin
Yeah, I
nowadays.
Okay, and then we got the next line is updated capital asset approval.
What is that?
That is, every year, I do, at year-end closing, I have to notify industrial appraisal of all the additions to property, plant, and equipment in the village that we've put in for that year. They update our fixed asset records, so all of the fixed assets in the village are listed in this journal,
We're talking specifically about village property, is that right?
all village property.
Okay.
Anything that we own, that's a fixed asset.
What does industrial appraisal mean?
That's the name of the company.
I see. Okay,
They do appraisals of industrial property.
I see.
And what
Apparently
happens is,
municipal
after a
property.
while, the appraisal gets out of whack. This hasn't been done in probably 15 years or longer, so the appraisal gets out of whack
Sure.
because you have fixed assets that you scrap, disposed of, and nobody tells me about that, and therefore it stays on the fixed asset records. We're paying insurance on it because those values are then sent to our insurance company. So Industrial appraisal last year said, look, we've been telling you the last couple of years that you need to have the appraisal done. We can no longer certify that the values in the appraisal are valid. So they put a disclosure statement in the front of the book saying that the values as included in this book are not certified
I
by,
thought that was in last year's
Gesundheit.
budget to do that, didn't we? I thought,
Salute.
yeah, and then we cut it out.
oh, we cut it out last year.
Yeah.
I thought we had left it in.
No, no, got cut out.
Now
So
it's necessary.
it's one of those necessary evils.
Yeah, but it could also save you money, like you say, you have 10 different things on our insurance roll that we're not,
That are no
that are
longer
no
here.
longer on there, and you're paying insurance, whether
Right.
it's a piece of equipment or,
You know, the problem is you know, you have a procedure in place that says, okay, if you replace or you dispose of certain pieces of equipment, you need to notify me of that because I give them additions and deletions to our property, plant, and equipment. But, you know, people sometimes, like a police car, they'll send it down to the street department, they'll scrap it, they'll do whatever they have to do with it. Nobody lets me know that that's been done, and then it stays on the appraisal record. So now you're paying for that piece of equipment on your insurance. So your insurance.
which actually may happen. I mean, there may be pieces of DPW equipment sitting down there
Absolutely.
scrapped, and
Yep.
whether it's a snow plow or anything, all this is, anything, yeah. All those have a value to
Right.
your,
It's a lot of money to have that done, but I don't know how much.
I mean, it's
without knowing.
village-wide. I mean, they're gonna go through the fire hall, this place, DPW, the sewer
When do they
plant, the
do that?
water plant. It's a lot of work.
When do they?
I mean, they're looking at, they have it broken down by room. They will come here, they have a specific name, they assign it a number, and they go through and they identify everything in this room. Then they'll go in that room. They have an identification, they'll identify everything in that room that has a value of, I believe we got a threshold of $5,000 or more. So anything of value $5,000 or more is listed.
Could the
in
end
that
result
room.
end up is claiming that we end up having to pay higher insurance?
I don't know.
mean-
I don't know. I don't know how far off, I doubt that because I give them, I'm positive I give them all the additions.
it's just a.
I just don't know whether I'm
deletions.
getting fed all of the deletions. that we're
Okay, I
doing.
see, so what.
So I
see
doubt
what-
that we
it wouldn't
we have
now.
more assets that I don't know about, because when, I know that I do that because I keep
Okay.
track of that. I
Okay.
keep track of all of the fixed
Purchase,
assets being
yeah,
packed.
we purchase, so you.
Yeah.
you-
So I
and
have
you
a.
add that to them.
Yeah, I have a subsidiary ledger listed by, you know, every asset that we purchase.
So it's just, the idea is to eliminate anything that has been on there and shouldn't be on there and
Correct.
hopefully save us that 14,000 plus. And then annually from that point on you wouldn't have to do this every year, you would just do this.
Oh, no,
This-
like every 10, they recommend every 10 years.
Mhm.
But like I
When-
said, it's
how long has
probably
it
been 15,
That's what I was wanting to know. It's
Yeah.
been probably 15.
yeah. Which
So-
isn't unusual, believe me. I worked at the steel plant, we did the same thing. I mean, but, you know, that one was, you know, not million, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that place. But it gets out of whack after a while. So, you know, you just keep rolling those numbers forward. And then when you do have the pot of money to pay for it, you have it done. But, you know, everybody goes over the 10 years. It's not unheard of. But we're at the point where our numbers are not,
Really.
you know, they can't certify it anymore.
All right, well then we'll just leave it in there and get it done this year then and.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do it, and then you actually, that 14 actually is not 14, it may wash out to, you know, 10 or 12 or
Yeah.
less than that, you know, based on the assets that have been deleted, or should have been deleted. So
Right.
I can only see that as a savings. I mean, I know it's an expense of 14.
So
Right.
that was an estimate of what they were gonna charge is what
No,
you
no,
said.
that's a proposal that they gave me.
Oh, that was the proposal.
This
Okay.
is a proposal, the 14.
The 14 is the proposal.
That's a proposal.
Oh, okay.
So I did, you know, they did give me, when they come back and they don't certify, they said, this is how much it'll cost you if you want us to do it. Okay?
Yep.
So I don't know, you want
Yeah.
to leave it?
Yeah, I think we should, if it's been 15 years, it's time and,
Okay.
yep.
And then we got the Barker Common upgrades in Barker Common. And this is broken down into the grant, which is a 310,543, and the village portion, which is 103,515.
Right. We're gonna obviously leave that there.
That,
Well, you gotta put the maximum amount in because. I mean,
right, that is the maximum amount, right.
Yep.
That's what the budget, that's the budget that we gave them
Right.
for the grant. So that's the numbers. Now, whether we do all that work or not is another story, so those numbers will adjust if obviously we don't spend the full 414. Okay? Police department, we'll wait for Brad. Fire department, we did. Street department, we did. Parks and Rec, did we do that? No, I think we did do.
Yes, we did do it.
Yeah, we did
I
that
have
with
notes here.
Terry, right?
Yeah, we talked about the
Yep.
roof and stuff.
Yeah. This
And
is
Russell
one
Correct.
here that
What
needs
is
to be
this?
really, this one here.
We're at under parks and on parks
Roof
and.
The roof and parking lot, can you read that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or no? The roof replacement and parking lot rehab?
Well, that's what we talked about, and Doug and I were gonna go talk to the town about.
Because if they don't want to do that, that's going to give you 34,000 you can take out, because village residents should not pay the full $68,000 for that. That's a shared park that should be split 50/50.
So the question that you had was that they allocate 10,000 a year, and the problem being is how do we come to paying for either one of those, because each one is more than that 10,000.
They would have to make an additional appropriation in their upcoming budget.
Okay, so we
Just
have-
like you're making
Their
it.
point,
So
their
we have-
part is gonna
Our
be saying,
normal
we've been giving you 10
appropriation for
grand a
this is
year,
10
what have you been
grand.
doing with the money?
Right.
So they would have to make an additional one, just like you're doing an additional one right now.
So they,
So-
so we're gonna have to ask them to do that, or what?
Right, exactly. Otherwise, we're gonna have a, I mean, you let it go, and then,
Well, again, this was an estimate that Perry went down and looked at it. I mean, have we gotten any true estimates of what this cost may be? I
I
mean,
thought
if we
he said-
replace it with tin, it might be less than.
I thought he said he had somebody go down and look at it.
No, I think he
I
was.
thought he said the roof, I thought he said
That's
he
what I
did.
thought. I thought he said the
that.
roof. I'm not sure about the
No,
parking lot.
I've made a little note in there, but, okay.
So the town's budget year begins January 1st.
Right.
So presumably,
So if they
we'd have to
appropriate
wait
in that
for their
budget, Mike,
appropriations
that's still within our,
at that time.
that's still within this budget for us? Because
Yes,
our
it is.
budget goes
That's right.
June 1st?
Right,
Or May 31st?
yes,
So if they appropriate in their next January budget,
right.
that amount of money, they can pay us within our fiscal period.
So then we could go ahead and say,
Yeah, and we could have the work done over the summer, and then we can pay for it, and then when they give us the money for it in May or whatever, it'll break us even.
What kind of assurance is the village gonna need from the town? A resolution?
insurance.
Well, we're gonna,
Oh,
yeah,
I
we're
mean,
gonna,
I can't, I'm not gonna go away with a handshake and say,
Well,
yeah,
I know,
we'll
that-
promise,
Yeah, there's your
handshake and a
money.
promise, say, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll help you out.
Yeah,
And,
no problem, we'll cut you a check.
yeah, that's the
So-
problem, is that you're gonna have to walk away with a handshake saying, yeah, we'll put it in our budget.
They're not gonna come back to us and say, look, we've been giving you 10 grand a year, what have you been doing with our money?
Well, they know what we're doing with
Okay,
it, because we account for it to them when we get our reimbursement.
Right, okay.
So we tell them, this is what we've done in the park.
Okay.
We pay for everything up front. The
Right.
village is the
Right.
caretaker, I
Sure,
guess
sure.
you want
No,
to
I get
say,
it.
of the park. So we go out and spend that 20 grand, whether it be whatever it's for.
Okay.
Rehabbing the tennis courts, the basketball courts, all of that kind of stuff.
Well,
And then at the end of the year, we just say, here's your bill,
So-
these are the items that we fixed that
So
Russ
is this in addition to the normal annual 10 grand that they
Yes.
give
Well,
us?
that's the
Yes.
way this is set up, Jim, exactly, and I don't know, maybe we want to just take that down by 20 and say that the 10 up above, the
Will be
10
their
each-
portion so far?
Right, that is already accounted for, another
Then
$20,000.
we're gonna ask them for another X, right?
Exactly. So if this is 38 or 68 and we've already got appropriated 20,
Right.
we would say you need to do another 24 because
Right.
then that would be 48.
Right.
That would be the difference.
Yeah, yeah, softer
so-
blow.
So, yeah, so with that, so we need to ask them for another.
24.
Another
24.
24
If you're going to
above.
use the 10 that's normally appropriated toward those two
addition.
projects.
Yep.
You see what I'm
But
saying?
I do,
These- these
but I was
two-
wondering if, without asking, without Perry being here, I was wondering are we gonna normally need that 10 for normal work
Yes.
during the year? And then, and additionally, this other money? Because otherwise, we're gonna be using Perry's 10, what he usually uses for the park, on the project, and then they're gonna get off.
You're saying is it
Well,
10?
you are too. The village gets off. I
I'm
mean,
not-
if
I'm
you
not-
want to use that term. I mean, we're not
Off
spending
from-
on anything else. We're spending the money
Don't
this
forget,
year
don't
on-
forget, Jim, there's gonna, I mean, I hate to say this, but those tennis courts and those basketball courts are gonna need some work. I was up there, I looked around. I mean, they've been neglected for a while. And I'm afraid down the road, we're gonna be doing some
Well,
serious
that's what
fixing up.
Roger Pecos was telling me.
I mean, I'm no expert in tennis courts, but
Well, I mean, for this year, does a village and town forego whatever they were going to spend the normal 10,000 on and do these capital projects?
Right, that's the question.
If not, then
I think we should, wow. Do we want to do both of these projects this year, I guess is the thought. And,
well, again, what,
It,
You do the roof replacements this year and put the parking lots next year. That's what
and
you're
then,
saying.
right, leaving the 10 that's normally used for the parks alone, and then going to the town to
And
split.
asking for another 19.
yep. Yeah, split the difference of 30.
So basically,
Go
you're
for
asking.
19 for the roof, right.
Yeah,
And
rather
then-
than appropriating
24.
10, you're going
This
to
year.
appropriate 29.
Yes.
Correct.
The 19 plus the 10, yes.
I think that there's an issue here in terms of timing of appropriations. If the governmental appropriations are done in times of high unemployment, the costs to the municipalities are lower than they are in times of increasing employment, such as right now. In other words, the village of Fredonia missed a big opportunity in 2011 to invest in the infrastructure of the community. So everything we do now given the current trend is going to be increasingly expensive. So
Well, we can't go back. I mean, it is what it is.
no,
so.
but,
Don't have
you
a
know,
time machine.
there was concern at the time that, you know, everyone panicked and, you know, there's large unemployment and, you know, so we're going to, you know, cut out the employment of public employees. They did rebuild, for example, the Risley Street Bridge with federal funds. You recall that, and which was to take advantage of that particular opportunity. So, you know, just generally, government organizations, you know, have to be aware of the employments in the trends and take advantage of the borrowing capacity of municipalities to counter the general economic trends.
But you got the
So-
double-edged sword there, because
Of
then you
course.
have unemployment within your village that was high because they went out of business, so now you've got
Less of a
the
tax.
constriction within the village of people that have jobs, so you don't really have the ability to raise taxes and that's what it takes. I mean, let's face it, we don't make money. We get our money from the residents of the village. We don't make widgets and sell them like a business does.
Right.
We actually just say, we're going to spend all this money, you have to give us more so we can spend more. That's the double-edged sword there. Yeah, you can see those opportunities, but then again, sometimes you're restricted from taking advantage of them because you have the other side of the story is
Well, I think the restriction is in the minds of the legislators, which includes the village board. And, thinking in terms of a private industry model, when in fact we're working with a municipal budget, and which these organizations have very low probability of bankruptcy. So, and they have long histories. For example, the city of New York is 150 years older than the United States is. So it has a long history. So, and it's, never failed. So you have these governmental organizations have this great ability to survive and gain municipal bonds that can be paid off over long periods of times after economic recoveries. And recoveries go up and down. That's a long history of that. So I just made a tremendous error in 2011 in not investing at that time.
Well, I guess we can only hope that happens again in a way.
No.
Well, not in a way. You
We
don't
don't
really
hope-
want it.
No.
We don't
want
hope
that to
for,
happen,
for
but-
depression and, so, but, nevertheless, there is a history of fluctuating economic situations, and I think it would be reasonable for legislators to pay some sort of attention to this instead of, taking a private industry viewpoint where the private industries come and go. Sometimes they don't last 5 years.
Banks weren't lending either during that time, so banks weren't willing to go out there and lend a lot of money to people. They were saying, we need to let the market settle down before we start lending. I mean, and then all of a sudden, you're starting to be told from the comptroller's office, we used to tell you keep a fund balance of 5%. Now they're saying, no, you should have more than 5%. And then they weren't giving you what that number was. They weren't giving you any calculations, but they were saying, you need to have more in your cash register than what we originally told you.
Right.
Bond attorneys were coming in and holding seminars, because I went to one in Buffalo,
Yeah.
and they were saying, you need to keep a lot more if you ever want to get any money from any of these banks, because that's what they're going to be looking at, your ability to repay these loans back. Because there were actually municipalities that did file for bankruptcy, didn't matter how long they were in business for,
Yeah.
they were filing for bankruptcy. I mean, when you looked at Detroit actually shut down areas of Detroit because they couldn't afford to maintain the infrastructure in the whole of Detroit. Because the auto industry went down the tubes, they were closing plants, they were laying people off, and people
Yes.
were moving up, leaving their houses, they were just vacancies all over the place. So it was an unprecedented time that really people didn't know what was going on. But banks did restrict lending. Banks were very restrictive on their lending. And by law, you do have restrictions on your lending anyway.
Yes.
There's something called constitutional tax limits, and the amount of money that you can borrow, those are limited by law. So I have to fill out those forms. Before you pass a budget, I have to notify the comptroller's office, this is where we sit on our borrowing, this is where we sit on our tax, our constitutional tax
Yeah.
limits, before we can go ahead and pass a budget.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of different factors in play there. So,
Certainly.
But yeah, it's a good point though. But so I don't know how you want to handle that. Whether you want to handle it, well, you could give them both options, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, you
either
could tell them
all
we
or
could
half
just
or
use that 10,000 that you normally appropriate, and then you can give us another
19.
19, and then we'll do the roofs this year, and then next year, instead of doing 10, do 15, and then we'll do the parking lots. But then you're gonna be 2 years without doing anything else other than those two projects.
Well, that was what I was just gonna say.
But then you could tell them, otherwise, you know.
But nothing
that's
else is
exactly
gonna
that.
get
Now, that's
maintained
gonna
at
be-
all.
That's gonna restrict our ability to do anything else in that park,
Period, yeah.
you know?
I mean,
But
does that even include, I mean, does that 10,000 include the cost of mowing and all this other
No.
stuff? No,
No, this is capital.
it's just capital,
The-
Okay,
the-
so-
The mowing is on the,
maintenance.
is on the appropriation side over here. So, you know, you have Russell Joy Park over here, which we went through the other night.
Right,
Russell Joy Park,
So
right
this is
here.
just-
That's where the
this is-
mowing and
okay,
everything
so-
else comes in, the
so
personnel
it'll be
fund.
no other capital projects except that for
Right,
this year.
so
and then
if
we
you
get
have,
other-
like Roger was talking
Right.
about the tennis courts and the basketball court
They won't get any
surface
attention.
needing refinishing,
Or the backwards or anything else like that.
there you go.
Well,
And anything, you
Right.
know, then we don't have the money to do that.
Do we really need to look at all the things that may need to be
I think that's
redone
why
over
we
the
need,
next couple of years?
well, that's why I wanted the next department head to come in to discuss some of that stuff. I've made notes on the park and rec guy and talk to him, say, look, give us your opinion of what we need to be looking at
Yeah,
the
all
next
the
3 years
projects and
before we,
prioritize them.
before we
Well, we're,
start.
we're gonna talk to him.
But I am, I'm thinking maybe he should be the guy on Monday, because if the police chief and
we could do
and
both.
Surma coming back off vacation on a Monday, maybe we're better off grabbing them on a Wednesday or the following
Chris
Monday.
has already told me that he could come in.
Okay,
Actually, I think he told me Wednesday, I
well,
don't know. I think he told me Wednesday.
park and rec guy couldn't take that long on a Monday, right?
No, Tommy.
No, he won't take very
I don't
long at
know
all.
what Tommy's.
His schedule.
At the school,
Right, his schedule.
so I don't know whether.
Well, Doug's
Mondays-
off.
Mondays,
Well,
we're off.
he's very good. I'll text him right now.
Okay.
What did we say?
But that was some of the things I wanted to discuss with
2
him,
o'clock.
is giving me some
Monday.
long-term,
What's going on?
Yeah,
what's going on
We
up
start
there.
utilizing funds for these projects and all of a sudden, holy cow.
yeah, he
you
comes
have-
in and says, yeah. pop.
You should have been concentrating on these projects, these take more priority, I don't know what, I know there's a lot of things that everything can't take the same priority, and we can't fund everything with the same.
Well, I know, my feeling is Tommy's gonna come in and say, well, there's a lot of things we gotta have this year. So it's gonna eat away at that 10,000 that we each put in.
Well, that's why I want to talk to him before we actually go and do something. You know, I want to hear from him. I'm, you know.
Well, we
again,
could hear from him on Monday, and the meeting's not, town of Pomfret's not till a week from, you said the 11th?
The 11th, I believe it is. Yeah, so that's gonna be us plenty of time to
Plenty of
talk
time
to.
to,
That'll give us
digest.
plenty of time to talk to them anyhow.
I don't know,
We can't make a decision on this until we talk to the town anyhow.
Right.
But at least we have the options of what to tell them.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line, I don't think both things, if this is the only option, I don't think it's
When,
feasible for both of them.
Is it, for additional parks, is there other grants available for that kind of thing? For the, I know a Dunker is getting their roofs rebuilt on all of their,
Tom can come at
Buildings.
2 o'clock on Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
um,
I mean, that's something we probably can take a look at, but let's kind of
I mean.
move along.
Well, I
with
know
it.
we have to do this now, obviously,
Right.
but,
Would that be a Nate
Well,
question?
again, did Perry say it was a now thing? I mean, or do you
he
think?
seemed to think that we needed this roofs for
What, the
some,
roof?
the
That's what
roofs.
he said. I don't know. I can't tell you.
All right.
Maybe we need to also
ride.
just take a ride up there, Russell Joy, and see what, before Monday, over the weekend here.
I mean, are they leaking? Are people saying that the things are leaking in, or is he concerned that it's gonna cause a structural
Or did he
issue
just throw
because
that in
they're
there?
not in good
Well, that's usually
Well,
what
we'll-
happens when you don't repair a leaky roof. Then you
roofs?
do have
Yeah, you end
structurals.
up with,
Although he did say that, didn't he say that the BOCES would build it?
Yes.
Build the roofs on the dugouts.
Yeah.
You know, they got
cover
those
the dugout.
pitch roof, what are those called, like,
Yeah.
Lean-tos?
yeah,
Or
like a
something.
lean-to type of roof? He
And
said
all
that
he had
they
to do
would
was
build
place
them.
them.
All we had to do is buy the material.
The dugouts weren't kind, yes.
well, that's, but he still said that was still the cost though, right? That would.
I think that that's the cost,
Well,
yeah.
that would
That's
be the.
taking that into
That in
consideration.
consideration, right.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying I'm just saying that's an opportunity for us to take advantage of something that might not be there next year.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
So if we don't take advantage of it this year, you never know. Is that
All
going to
right.
be available to us next year?
I'm buying dinner.
What time you guys want to meet next?
Two o'clock Monday.
Want to meet 2?
Tommy said he could show, right?
If Tommy
Tommy's
could,
gonna-
and then we could just go from there, I guess.
Well, I'd like to, like I said, if we can get the police chief in here, or Chris on here, and maybe the police chief on Wednesday or something, or the following Monday.
Either one, it'd be fine.
We could probably get Brad up here on Monday.
The following Monday.
No, this
Monday.
coming
Same
Monday.
Okay.
That'd be good, that'd be, if we get,
That's gonna be a big one.
that'd be three for that day, that'd be
No, it's
awesome.
not that big.
Oh, you haven't
Their
seen my
budget?
notes.
Their budget?
Look at the look I get.
Do we make, now, with Chip still here, did we make any decision as far as him still being here, that we need to ask him more questions on his capital line?
He's not getting it.
I don't know, I mean, we just, all I know, look, I just. we
Monday
listened
at
to
2,
his-
Michael.
We listened to his spiel, I don't know, we didn't discuss it at all.
Well-
What's,
So
everybody's
instead-
thoughts on it?
You mean instead of 25, to go to 16, what do you want?
Right.
No, you know,
I mean, we're only looking at what, 25, am I?
He said, he was hoping.
you can live at 5.
5, so that's bumping up to
Squeaking it?
2,500.
Really squeaking it?
Well, put it this way, the 6 would get you the TV, the 5 doesn't.
5.5? Give you a little elbow room?
Choosers gonna be beggars, I'll take whatever you guys.
Yeah, you're right. You will.
I mean, I'm just looking at
I'm
this
happy to
as,
get whatever you guys get.
I'm looking at this as that communication with our residents and everything we do.
Yeah, I know,
I
with
mean,
our,
But I get it, I know we're 800 and
Well,
some
like you
thousand
were
in the
just,
hole.
that's what you've been saying right along, Doug.
Yeah,
is,
so,
and you-
and I'm not, exactly, so I
And,
mean, we may say $2,500, maybe not in the budget, I don't know.
even the 2,500.
would that cover, I mean, that doesn't fall under our web, like our web page and stuff like that?
Yes.
It does?
What he does is he links us into that, so when we have after we do the airing of whatever we're airing, he links it in, so when you go to the webpage and go to trustee meetings,
Yes.
you get that link to the YouTube site to us.
Because I'm on that committee and we're trying to redo that whole web page and design. It's gonna cost us a couple of bucks, but
Yeah, no, we tie into that, he doesn't fit through the webpage, your recreation.
it goes that way.
He
In
does.
his budget?
It's just a link, it's nothing budget-wise, it's just a link.
Right.
Our stuff, what we stream.
But I'm just saying, we might have to spend a little money to update our webpage and get our get it where it needs to be.
I agree.
And I don't know where that money comes from and whose department it's processed.
Comes from recreation.
On the revenue side of yours,
I don't know what we had for revenue towards the cable, I don't get that. You'd have to ask Rick on what we brought in.
We start charging for commercials, can you put commercials on there and make a couple of bucks?
We can, but we do what they call underwriting, which we underwrite a program. So if somebody came in and say,
is his revenue, Rick?
Say
Basil wanted to come in.
say
throw
your
it out.
company wanted to underwrite the trustee meetings.
Right.
That money would be used. So you'd say, we come up with a negotiation agreement of $5,000 to do all the trustee meetings. So then every trustee meeting, you'd have a logo on the bottom, either beginning, the middle, and the end.
What do you think of that, Jim?
I'm sorry.
We can actually charge ad space.
Well,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not considered
No,
ad.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's
Sponsorship.
Sponsorship. Or underwriting the program, so all the program would be underwritten. We've
Go
had
ahead.
people do that before.
No, I've always said we should do something like that. Same thing with your, the website, for your official website for the
Yeah.
village, should have a column where all your villages are listed, but you have the opportunity to for a slightly larger, ad that you could,
You can do that. with
Yeah, I don't know.
right, you could do that, and then, and then,
I'd rather throwing it on you.
No, your website's one of the best places to do that.
Absolutely.
Believe it or
Well,
not.
I know, but I
You
mean,
could sell,
but you mean,
you
it's
could underwrite
revenue.
ads. It's a revenue ad. With us, the problem is with revenue, where's it go? Does it go to general fund, or does it go back into the station? That's another question you have to ask.
well, I'd like to see you get these nice shiny desks that work well.
I'd like to get you a new chair, because you look uncomfortable.
Oh, you can't look, I'll show everybody at home.
I know.
I brought my own
Well, put it this
cushion.
way, I'll make you a deal. You make it 8, and I'll get you.
I'll get you a new chair.
I gotta get it by Dr. Barris here. I mean, Professor Barris is gonna, it's a tough one to get by on, no.
But I mean, if you increase the capacities of whatever you're doing, does that also open the possibilities for
Revenue.
sponsorships and these different things that people, if more people can see the programming that
Yes.
you're doing?
Yeah.
Of course it does, Doug.
But it's also a benefit to me as a company to want to be part of that, because we have the updated equipment, that I could get my message out as a sponsor.
So that's as trustees.
So it's kinda like you
do
invest a
say-
little to get
Do you
some.
invest it, or do you say right now? that's
Whether
not
you had
critical?
somebody to manage that part of it, I don't know. I mean, that's a whole nother,
A whole other ballgame.
yeah. I mean,
It's an extra 15 minutes on.
I mean, we need so much help to try to get the management of all kinds of things. I mean,
When we cut to executive session, you can have a board with that.
That's it.
you know,
You just put.
We still need to think about his budget line item then? Consider it like, for more consideration? Or you leave it as it is? But I mean, this is the time. If
I
he's
know,
If you have
I
any
know.
questions, he's here. You say, what can you do with?
I mean, we gave them a lot last year, and I would love to get, you know, we did well last year with it, but I mean, the
Other
other,
benefits you gain from it.
hmm?
Little benefits you gain from it.
We did gain a lot, and
So
But
my
the tough-
record-
the tough-
My record of putting, is, we're using the equipment is 100%, everything gets.
you,
I've always.
you've
Well,
done well with your equipment. I agree.
Cut out the TV.
It's just that every department head can tell you that
Oh, of course.
everything that they're doing, and we get that, and the bottom line is, the revenues just aren't there for everything, and probably not most of everything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, because it's just the way it is. I mean,
I think that's unnecessarily pessimistic.
I try being realistic, whether it sounds pessimistic or not. I know how I try to run my thought pattern with the village here as I would my personal budget. If I gotta live within my means, if I would like to drive around in a fancy car, if I can't afford that this year or ever, I don't do that, or, you know.
Well,
I got a question for you. I've been here 18 years, okay, as access coordinator. I own the house as the access coordinator. In 18 years, you are the first board in 18 years that gave me any money for operational.
last year,
Last year.
Last year.
In 18 years, gentlemen. I've got equipment downstairs that are older than me, and I'm 50, and I'm keeping it.
Those are worth some money now, you know that, don't you?
I agree, but the point is, what I'm trying to specify is I understand but every year, electronics change.
Yeah, it's.
Technology changes,
Yeah,
and
especially
we have equipment down there that is old, and I can't make it work, and I can't make it go forward.
Right.
I'm not asking, we came in with a proposal of 16,000. I want bare minimum what would be operational. I'm just trying to produce a better product,
Right. I get it.
so just to keep you in mind, I understand where you're coming from, Doug, I totally understand, I'm a taxpayer too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was answering Mike's question. I don't look at it as pessimistic. I look at it as being realistic and trying to
I
live
agree.
within our means. And
I mean, I
Yeah,
really
I-
think we need to get a lot, I mean, one of the things that we talked about before the election is the communication to our residents, and that's one of the key things I heard every day.
What?
How do we communicate with, and obviously
That's
technology.
why I'm here today,
All right.
you don't understand
How
why?
anybody tuning in? Are we live?
16 views right now.
16 views right now? Well, that's good.
And last I knew, I don't know.
People stop me in the street and say, I saw you on television last night.
Right.
So
so you get
I'm getting some
popular. See,
You're
feedback.
getting feedback.
Yeah.
When they start asking for your autograph, then you know you're on your way. I don't know. I mean, I don't need to discuss. I mean, yeah, you need to squeak a little bit, but I'm willing to give him what he needs. I don't know what you guys.
I can't hear you.
I'm mumbling.
You are?
If the audio was there, you'd hear it.
Exactly.
what are your thoughts
What are my
of
thoughts?
adding more to that line or not?
Well,
He's got a
I
nice,
think
nice
it's
request
a
list.
tremendous opportunity for municipal governments to expand. Municipal governments have a history of greater survivability than national governments. So, I've been reading about the Ottoman Empire, and all these cities in the Ottoman Empire have survived, and the infrastructure that was built, just before the termination of the Ottoman Empire is still there and is still in use. So it's not quite the same way it was in the first place, but it's still there. And so we've invited the writer of the book to give a lecture at SUNY Fredonia next year to describe his experience of municipal survival. So I just, the people of the communities really care about the facilities in the community. And it's much stronger sentiment than the feeling for the national government. So the municipalities will survive a change in head of state. It has happened in the past. It's likely to happen in the future.
So as far as Chip's request, would you
Can you give me a
consider
sponsor?
$2,500 more to raise it up to 5,000, or you want to keep it where it's at?
I think we can make a decision in about 3 weeks. So, I would like to see Chip's
Budget. lift it a
budget
little bit?
increase, but I'd like to see, many other aspects of the village interests increase too as well.
What's it, 3 weeks?
Well, it's approaching our deadline for making a
A decision.
decision
Okay.
on the budget.
what
So,
you'd like-
I want to go through everything.
Okay.
I want to understand everything
Leave
as
it
much
where
as
it's
I
at
can.
right now,
We're gonna
see
mull
where we're
over
at in the end. If
Yeah.
it makes sense,
You're willing to give it
you're
to
willing
them.
to give this some consideration.
And then we'll come back and go through all the lines again and make a decision at that time.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
I'm fair. In the meantime, go get us a sponsor.
Give us a reason, Jim.
And some dinner too.
Yeah.
I don't see
I
the
gave you the
revenue.
reason, you want new chairs, I
Right.
mean, come on.
I hear you.
You should have added the sheet on here with that on there. So,
The chairs?
no, not the chairs. No, not the expense sides. Is what this will produce for us. Where's the revenue?
Yeah, see, the fire
There's
chief
no-
came back with some revenue sources from
Yeah.
our,
There's notes on every one of those. on
I
the
saw, I
bottom.
started reading them.
So to tell you what that piece of equipment is used for, what it could potentially be used for.
Right.
So
I just think, I really want to see you expand a little bit outside this room.
Well, we do, I mean,
I really do. I mean, I really think that'll really kind of boost some things in the area.
the thing, what it comes down to is manpower.
Right.
Believe it. It's getting somebody who wants to donate their time to do that, and right now.
Can we get some college kids? Can we get some high school kids? Can we get some
we've
BOSA
tried-
kids?
We're working on all that, we're working on high school kids.
Because I know when I was a kid, I was an AV geek, boy. I was there all 4 years. And
You know, the problem is, it doesn't have it doesn't have two buttons.
yeah, well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We could glue a button on there and make it look like.
I've got my daughter involved a little bit, and try to get her involved, and stuff like that. We do a lot of, we've stopped a couple of events because of doing remotes and bringing it back because of editing.
Right.
So now we're starting to get more into it and offering more operation for that part, so.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick. We're gonna work on it.
Yeah, thanks, Rick.
We're gonna do a lifestyle on Rick's day.
Awesome. The
What'd you
day in the
say?
life.
Huh?
You're gonna get me
We're gonna get
changing
you a-
my light bulb on my front thing?
We're going to do a documentary on you. We're going to follow you around all day.
There you go. Now that would be interesting.
Called the Rick Rockumentary.
Yep.